Let the dancing begin. Well, I didn't see that coming.
A classic, and at the same time, progressive.
Welcome here, ladies and gentlemen, to the finals of the Unified Advanced League. We are here and set to go ahead and end out this season with a glorious best-of-5 series between Team Ambition Black and Purdue Northwest. My name is Orbital. With me is Random Mini Caster, and we will be bringing the action. RMC, how you feeling?
Tense, Orbital. Tense is how I'm feeling here coming into this one, because just last week, we got to see the semifinals. 3 collegiate teams, only 1 amateur team. And now into the finals, 2 of those collegiate teams have fallen. It's Purdue, the last remaining collegiate team, against Team Ambition, the last amateur team. And both these finalists made it here to the finals in grand style. 3-0 in the semifinals here. Their styles are different. Their players are strong and Orbital. I want to see how it actually plays out between these 2 teams.
It's always interesting to watch teams that 3-0 each other, 3-0 their opponents, really go up in the finals. And it's really interesting because you have to be interested in how these teams made it, right? You were talking a little bit about how they have different styles, and for the side of Purdue Northwest, we are looking, I think, a little bit more into that bottom lane. The Poner and Udon Bidom were kind of their shining stars, but it's evolved a bit more past just a singular dimension.
Yeah, I mean, last week ISO was rock solid in that mid lane, and 12 years of jungle. Might have spent 12 years as a jungle here, but in the top lane, he's starting to look very, very comfortable, especially on that cannon pick. But still, for Purdue, I'm looking at their bot side to carry, and when I look at Team Ambition, it's largely been the opposite with Demon King Sam, Castle, and the likes of Rascal, in the mid lane, often being the early game strength, and then their bot side, All For One and Turk, often going a more supportive route. All For One has played almost exclusively AP champions for the second half of this split here, especially that Seraphine, where even if he doesn't win the lane, he can go low econ and still be a huge force for the team.
Yeah, and having such distinct and unique styles when facing up against each other actually lends itself to its own question. Which side is stronger, not which side will win, right? Normally, if we see, it's the mid lane playing together, or the junglers that are the main focus, you can see a clash of the titans, right? All eyes focus on the jungle and mid. But in this case, the teams have to recognize that, hey, it might be a tug of war excuse me, between which side gets ahead, right? And for you specifically, RMC, I gotta ask the question, which would you rather favor? Would you rather have a much stronger bottom lane, the shining star down there, and kind of leave your top lane to an island? Or would you rather have your top lane be that shining star, try and roll through the rest of the team, with the bot lane being the supportish kind of utility side of the team?
In the current meta right now, but I feel like top side mid lane tends to have more impact in the game. AD carries, and if you speak to any AD carry player, I'm sure they'll agree the sentiment here that they don't often get to play the game, right? Like, it's so dangerous with them. They're squishy, they're immobile, they're so burstable. So I think focusing your solo lanes often reaps better results. But it's not just about where your strong side of the map is between these 2 teams. It's stylistically, they are diametrically opposed, not only just in terms of who their carries are, where their strong lanes are, but if we watch Team Ambition Black, their individual players are so strong. Topside Demon King Sam and Rascal in the mid lane, these 2 have been carrying games, win lane, win game style. But the closing isn't always clean, and sometimes they get caught out of position, they get killed. But always they have such a big lead that it doesn't seem to matter. Whereas I'm thinking back to last week, Purdue Northwest closed their 3-0 out in a stranglehold manner here. Their opponents never really got a chance to try and get back in the game, and once they found a lead, they just slowly played it out. So I feel like despite the fact that I think solo lanes have so much initiative agency in the game right now, Purdue's style makes it such that if Team Ambition Black makes mistakes, the punishments that come in from Purdue might just close the game right out.
It's such a terrifying thought for them to have. It's scary to walk into a best of 5 as well, but it's also a little bit of a benefit, right? Not a best of 3, if you lose the first game, you actually still have an extra game on top of it, right? You can drop 2 before you really have to buckle down and run it, but at the same time, no one wants to drop 2 games at all in any sort of capacity, so that'll be kind of fun to watch here. We will be getting into draft here shortly for game number 1, and that's going to be a lot of fun to be able to take a look. It's going to be a question of who is going to be on that blue or red side. For you, is there any unique picks that we do want to take a look at? Because, again, like you said, just champion stylistically, it's going to be a little bit different. Something that we should watch out for, in your opinion, RMC.
Yeah, and for both these teams, right off the bat, we can say that Purdue is more meta. So in terms of picks to watch out for, they are more commonly seen things like the Kennen for 12 years of jungle, which has been so impactful. He can lose lane on it, still carry games. Iso's Rise, which just seems indomitable. Even in lane, he often takes over, and then he starts affecting the side lanes with Realm Warp. His LeBlanc carries were absolutely massive, and pretty much any scaling pick for the Poner is something to watch out for. But on the other side, Team Ambition here, I mean, Demon King Sam used to be called Brown Man Darius, so obviously that Darius is something to watch out for here. Castle's Lee Sin has been an absolute monster. We touched on all for one's Seraphine, and in the mid lane, Rascal's AD carry mid laners here. Not your ranged carries, but things like the Yone, the Yasuo, or more recently last week, the Zed coming out. There's so many individually stylistic champions for Team Ambition here. It feels like you want to ban them, but they've got so many that if you're banning, even if you spend all 5 bans and sort of their specialty picks here, they still have so many other things they can pull out.
Yeah, and because of that, you'd rather go ahead and ban away the specifics, the meta that they could still play, you know, try and zone in on their uniqueness, as the Lee Sin is going to be banned away. Purdue Northwest saying, listen, it's one that everyone plays at pretty much every level. You just can't leave it open if you are not going to run it. Meanwhile, on Team Ambition Black's side, it is LeBlanc targeting ISO in that mid lane, saying, hey, look, we know the champion's strong, we know you play it, and that is a very deadly combination.
Yeah, that Lee Sin as well, I feel like it's Castle's bread and butter here, and if you give it to him, it almost doesn't matter what his lanes pick. Even if Demon King Sam goes something weak lane like KO like he did last week, Lee Sin can sort of cover for that. And No You Stink has not actually played too much of the Lee Sin, more focused on the J4, on the Xin Zhao engage style champion, so safe ban to come out. Talon coming out from Purdue here. That tells me they've been doing some of their homework, because Castle has not played that much Talon here in the UAL, but he has in solo queue. So they're targeting down Castle. They want to make sure that you don't have the jungler to enable these solo laners, and then those solo laners maybe get a little bit more isolated. No You Stink might be able to, you know, make a bit more plays of his own with Castle being on the back foot.
And TAB aren't happy. They are not happy at all. They go ahead and swing right back with the jungle ban of their own. NYS is going to go ahead and lose that possible Jarvan, which again has kind of risen up there in priority for a couple teams, and it's been a staple. Once you do see it, it's been very strong in initiation, but it does lend itself to falling off in the late game. So not wanting Purdue Northwest to be able to scale with, okay, this is getting a little bit out of hand. Yes, normally it's a Graves mid that we do see, but still, that is a pseudo 4th ban in that jungle role. These teams really taking out Castle and NYS's pool.
Yeah, definitely. I think that one's more targeted at the jungle, because Rascal, for all the AD champions he does play, Graves has not been one of them. And in the top side for Demon King Sam here, Graves is a huge top laner right now, but not so much for Demon King Sam. And the answer from Team Ambition here, they only pinched that one J4 pick, so Xin Zhao is still on the board for No You Stink if he wants it. They go for the mid lane once again here, taking out the Irelia as well. And I can't fault them. I gave ISO MVP last week.
Yeah, it was rightfully earned as well. And so now taking a look here, we are questioning what Purdue Northwest will pick up first. There are a lot of options on the table. You talked about that Xin Zhao. You talked about some of those, collective champions. And again, NYS, why not pick it up? Just don't give too much away. Play the standard, as you were saying.
Yeah, and the champion pools really don't overlap too much between these two teams. We touched on the fact that the Poner has been great on AD carries, especially the scaling type, whereas All For One's been going for more AP carries, Syndra, Seraphine, that sort of thing. The mid laners vastly different champion pools as well. ISO liking AP mages, Rascal preferring AD mages. So it's really only the top and jungle where the pools sort of overlap. So Xin Zhao being that priority pick when Graves, when J4, and Lee Sin have all been taken off the table makes sense. But Olaf coming through from Castle here, still a very strong duelist, a champion that we often see picked into the likes of Xin Zhao, being able to trade with him. It fits their style still, right? They just want to pick a strong jungler, strong solo lanes to enable things. I wouldn't be surprised if they start picking up their bot lane here, save their solo lanes for counter in the second round.
Yeah, and this is given a few flashbacks to, I think, a previous set that we've had. It was I think it was a quad support rush in with the Olaf, and that was a very painful game to be able to cast, but it worked. It was one of the most caught off guard moments. But the Seraphine is locked in. And it is going to be kind of nice to see, it's a simple champion, can be shifted around a little bit, but should allow a little bit of buffing towards that early game if the Olaf does get ahead.
I try to remember which game had the quadruple support overall, and I can't remember if it was Bethany or who it was here, but if I remember correctly, that comp, it won that game, and that was kind of it. After that, it kind of got banned out. Team Ambition rarely go that deep into the support pool, and a lot of times when we see All For One pick up the Seraphine, Turk is going to run a more engage heavy support to sort of pair with that. So they've got Enchanter and Engage as well, but Purdue, we've seen this from them before, this early Sivir pick out, and the Sivir has been a surprisingly good pick for them here. The spell shields have been on point for the opponent, and when you pair it with something like the Soraka here, you have so much sustain, you have so much poke in lane, and it almost makes me feel like Team Ambition might be better served picking up an actual AD carry here who can consistently put out the damage rather than, Seraphine, where it's like a little bit bursty, you get healed up, spell shield can negate a lot of it.
Yeah, so far they're not going to show if they are running that Seraphine in that carry role or in that support role. With the Camille being locked in, they are saying Demon King Sam wants his top lane, and I think that's the right call to make, right? Go ahead, lock in the Camille, get a strong lane in the top side. If you know Wyatt AJ at 12 years of jungle, there's a high chance he might not be able to pull off some of these aggressive top laners as well, or at least take it away from the champ pool, right? So we'll really have to wait and see what he decides to play, but the Fiora is not going to be one of them as TAB go ahead and ban that one out.
Not only is Fiora good into the Camille here, but 12 years of jungle in that top lane. In terms of carry top laners, it's been mostly this Camille, this Fiora. Besides that, it's been a lot of tanky picks like the Tahm Kench, like the Ornn, or that team fighting Kennen here. So I love what Team Ambition have done with this pinch, and I've always been a big fan of the R3 solo lane, because then you can ban out sort of the counters to it here. Now, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, the Jax to come through. I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Kennen to try and deny that, but they just want to make sure that Camille doesn't have a terrible lane. Jax is an absolute hard counter to the Camille here, so they're trying to get Demon King Sam the best lane possible, because Demon King Sam can carry games both in lane in terms of split pushing, or even in team fights. We've seen the Camille pop off before, finding backline access, taking down things like the Soraka, for example. If you pop down that Soraka is a huge team fight tool if she can survive through the fights.
Yeah, same with the Galio, right? Don't want to allow either of those to be picked up here. This is going to be a Rakan hover, though, and this one would synergize very, very well with the competition. A lot of utility still in there, and considering you're up against a Soraka, it's nice to have a little extra shielding and knock-up potential. We'll see if it works out for them, though. That is going to be into a very specific bottom lane. Top lane, Purdue Northwest, going to possibly hand over, and it is locked in. The Renekton is going to be the answer to the Camille, so a bruiser for 12 years a jungle. Going to be one that we do want to watch, as this kind of sets a precedent for the entire series.
Yeah, and Renekton did get buffed, I believe it was last patch or the patch before, so he's not as weak as he was before. Does lane decently, quite comfortably into the Camille, will get outskilled, but that will take time. And this is a slightly different pick from what we've seen come through from ISO. This Akali in the mid lane here, potentially the mid lane here, as you can flex it into the top side, especially if you want to put that Renekton mid against Yone. That is a favorable matchup for the Renekton. Darius? Hold up a second. Okay, so Demon King Sam was Brownman Darius. Like, he is famous for being a one-trick Darius player here. So they're running a Camille mid-orbital, and I don't know if I like that. We've seen Camille mids before. I don't think mid lane is really the lane for Camille. Yeah, she's very safe there, but she doesn't have that chase down potential. Into the Akali, I want to say this favors the Camille, but honestly, I've not seen this matchup mid enough to know how it completely goes.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't either. The main thing to know is that TAB pulled a switcheroo, right? I think that's really what we're coming down to here. They saw the Akali come out. They said, hey, we can pull this off, and now we got Demon King Sam, a great matchup in the top lane. You have an okay one with the Camille in that centerpiece, and it's very, very well played. I mean, I love it so much. Personally, I have played against the Camille mid. That was in the past. I think that was back when she first came out, and that's where we really saw Camille's, shine in the mid lane. The damage was outrageous. To be able to lock in, TAB pull a monstrous playoff, at least here in this draft phase, and I'm very, very impressed with them getting a great lane matchup against 12 years of jungle, really putting that Renekton in a tough spot.
Yeah, I mean, not only is he a one trick, but Darius is also just a great pick into the Renekton. Buffed or not, Renekton is going to struggle there. Now, the Camille Akali matchup favors Camille in the top lane, partially because it's a long lane and Akali can't really get away. You can't get out of the Hextech ultimatum, and a lot of her skills land even through that fog. My producer tells me in the mid lane, it's still the same concept. So if that and that should be true. I mean, it works in the long lane. Why not the short lane here? Maybe not quite as much kill potential, but certainly still dominance and initiative agency. You should always get first move in that mid lane there. Since that is the case, then I do think that Team Ambition Black have everything they wanted. They have the strong solo lanes. They have a strong jungler to make these plays. My only concern is their lack of magical damage here. You're looking at only that Seraphine in the bot lane pretty much, and maybe a little bit from Rakan, but Seraphine, especially for All For One, he often does build things like the Moonstone Renewer, and I don't want to see that here. You can't afford to build Moonstone Renewer. If you go support Seraphine, they just need to build armor, and your composition's really going to struggle.
Yeah. And to that point, I do want to add, if you're going to run an AD composition as the primaries, Darius and Camille are two of the greatest to be able to run into that. You know, the Darius has a bleed, the Camille is most likely going to run Divine Sunder. That should be a granted one. But I agree, it's going to be so dangerous if we only see that Seraphine, if we see the Seraphine only kind of sitting there, and not only that, if it's punished heavily, right? If we do see maybe a lethality Sivir come out here, which is not as viable, I would say, but it's still a high possibility. It could be a very dangerous position. So, I mean, taking a look at game number 1, this is the game that sets the precedent overall, sets the tone and pace of this series. I mean, if you had to prefer a composition, I mean, is there one that really comes out on top in terms of what the teams want to do?
In the draft, I actually prefer Purdue's comp a little bit because I do think it has safer scaling. But knowing how the teams play here, the comp that Purdue have drafted feels like they're surrendering a little bit of control, and they're saying, we're just going to try and survive the early game. We're forcing you, Team Ambition, to make the early plays. And if you fail to beat us by 20, 25 minutes here, we will outscale you. We'll be stronger in the later fights. But I've seen Team Ambition play, and this comp fits them to a T. You've given them the proactivity, the ability to call the early game shots. You've given them winning lanes. So based on what I know of the teams, I think I'm going to favor Team Ambition Black for this game 1.
And as we go ahead and load into the Rift, the teams and players are ready to go. So we'll go ahead, run down the players just one more time for you if those at home are joining us just now after the draft phase. We have Purdue Northwest on the blue side and Team Ambition Black on the red. On the blue side for Purdue Northwest will be 12 Years of Jungle in the top side. No You Stink in the jungle. ISO in the mid lane. The Poner at ADC and Udon Beaton at support.
And on the red side here, Team Ambition Black with Demon King Sam in that top lane, Castle in the jungle, Rascal in the mid lane, All For One as the AP carry in the bot lane, and Turk as their support.
Yeah, and for those following, My Hero Academia or anything like that, All For One. I don't know if people like him too much anymore, but we'll see what happens, of course. Love the name, though. I will say I do love the name. I just want to put that out there. I love it so much.
I mean, all For One's like almost that brawler type, like hero, right? Like not a Seraphine.
All right. Yeah, you're
like,
saying
this is like weak All For One, right? Like after he's lost all his power.
We are absolutely gonna get murked by all of the My Hero Academia fandom, and I am ready for it, 100%. But let's go ahead and take a look, as this has been a very quiet start. But as you can see, Team Ambition Black are wanting to do an very late invade, I should say, and they're taking a little bit of time. So it's a good read by Purdue Northwest, who should be able to pull this vertical jungler.
Yep, and I think Team Ambition Black are okay with this vertical jungle here. They're not doing this because they think they can, say, back up the bot side and prevent the counter jungle, the vertical jungle from happening. No, they're trying to do this so that they isolate the solo lanes. The fact that No You Stink now has to play bot mid means that Demon King Sam gets to dominate this top side, and meanwhile Castle gets to continue playing on the side he wants to get his solo lanes ahead. All For One, they're not going to get ganked this early. This Seraphine and Rakan's actually pretty difficult to dive by a Soraka Sivir here. You need a couple of levels, couple items first.
It's not so much about getting those, the hard poke, the hard kills. It's about pressuring the lane. That's what they're going to be looking for, right? You want to pressure up. You want to be able to gain this dragon control, specifically because of the fact that you have one, pretty much that vertical jungling style. Castle, of course, clearing out the entirety of that top side for Purdue Northwest jungle. We'll see if No You Think can do the same. Doesn't look like he's able to, only able to grab 2 camps, and it's going to have to fall back to his own.
Yeah, it doesn't feel comfortable going all the way. And this is the difference when one team gets to choose that, hey, we want the vertical jungle. They come in with the plan, whereas Purdue, not quite as confident here, falls back to safety. And this might make all the difference because Olaf is such a strong early game champion. If he gets a level lead, experience lead over Xin Zhao, then suddenly No You Think can't duel the 1v1. Even if he counter ganks here, the Olaf ganks will be more potent.
A nice couple trades in the mid lane, right? We were wondering how well that would play out. So far, has been ISO on a little bit rougher side of the trades, but since both have started Doran Shield, it's gonna be that wet noodle fight. It's definitely just 2 top laners playing mid instead of, you know, mid laners playing bruiser champions.
Honestly, I didn't think it'd be that way. I thought with the dares it'd be a lot more aggressive, but bot side, Turk finds a really good engage to get some poke down here. The only problem is you're up against a Soraka lane. So, I mean, they knew this was a really good Soraka pick into that Seraphine, knowing that, okay, that's probably an AP carry Seraphine. They don't have enough damage to burst me down, and therefore I get to heal up. The opponent can take these sort of bad trades and basically get away unscathed.
You know who doesn't get away unscathed? It is going to be 12 Years of Jungle, already getting bullied in the top side, down about a wave, getting close to a wave. At least, as Hudon beat on, we see go ahead, snap a quick heal in the mid lane. Rascal's like, that's no fair, right? I want a helper. I want an emergency medvac coming into my lane. There's going to be a little bit of a chance, though, as the opponent is going to walk back, is going to gift over a bit of that lane, considering there's no mana for the Sivir to rock.
Yeah, and that I think was partially why we see Udon beat on Roman out as well. I think they're thinking about just hard shoving and then getting a quick recall soon here. Now, you get to do that for now because of the vertical jungle, but once wards start to come down from the side of Team Ambition, once things equalize here, your Soraka roaming like that, if you ever run into castle with that ghost here, you get absolutely run down. And if everybody has to reinforce, you will be a bit behind. Castle actually looking to try and punish that overextended bot lane here, but I'm surprised the opponent is even still staying in lane for so long here, not just getting that cheater recall after hard shoving.
Yeah, wasn't really able to, and again, Olaf doing Olaf things here. Thankfully, it is an Ocean Dragon. It's not the, you know, anything, I want to say totally insane that could be dueled out, but of course, Ocean will help teams, will help TAB, of course, enjoy a bit better laning experience here in the early stages. They're going to get a little bit of healing coming through. Turk, of course, eating a couple boomerangs and not taking that much damage. I mean, you're a Rakan. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, it's early levels yet. Sivir, you know, doesn't skill too much into that W early here, and the base damage isn't quite there. But Orbital, you say that, you know, Ocean's not that crazy a Drake. That's the first Drake. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think normally Ocean would be a really strong laning Drake, but for Team Ambition, I do think you're right, though. It's not the ideal Drake for them. They would happily have preferred Inferno or Mountain instead.
Well, there's going to be a jump on in the mid lane. That was a
Ghost
Dominus
Ambush
being applied in the top side, so we see the first gank, and it is kind of surprising, right? For what we said about Purdue Northwest and TAB, it's surprising to see Purdue Northwest going for the gank first in the top side.
Yeah, and it was very successful as well. Demon King Sam didn't just blow the flash, the ghost was blown as well there, and I think that was a really good read from Purdue. We talked about how Purdue plays the game very clean for the most part. They don't fall too far behind the early game, and they know that they're playing for the late there. So they know that Demon King Sam hit 6, the kill pressure's there to actually kill 12 Years of Jungle. In fact, we did see the Renekton out pop, so they sent the jungler up there to protect 12 Years of Jungle, and getting the double summoners, that was just bonus.
Not just that, 12 Years of Jungle, you saw it right on the tail end before we took a look at bot side. He almost got ganked by Castle, right? If that pull had landed from Demon King Sam, that would have been Castle coming in for the fight. Probably would have cost the flash out of 12 Years. Well played, right? Now you have, again, still the summoner advantage. The first showing from Castle does not work, which means TAB, this kind of lane advantage that they were hoping to stack up very early on, is not going to explode as quickly as we expected.
No, and that's the worry, right? Because Team Ambition Black, the way they like to play, like we said, is strong top sides, winning lanes in the top and mid lanes, and then carrying from there. And not only have they failed to do that so far, Demon King Sam doesn't have teleport. So the longer this sort of laning phase goes on, where he can't get the pressure onto 12 years of jungle, the worse it is for him. Once that teleport comes back up for 12 years of jungle, Purdue can start to threaten moves on the bottom side of the map. And in mid lane, ISO has done an amazing job keeping even in CS here. Maybe it really is that mid lane and the fact that it's such a short lane. As you can see there, it's easy to get back to safety, but Rascal's been fairly on the defensive here, just kind of picking up the CS and not winning out the trades.
Well, now we're actually going to see a jump in, and ISO went for a ward and immediately falls, so I'm not sure if there was backup being called, but walking into a 1v2, which turned into a 1v3, is going to net first blood for TAB.
And just in time as well. Really good play by them. And that's the Hextech Ultimatum. You can't get out of it. You know that you're somewhere in there. Ideally, after a play like that, you want to find an objective. But it's actually Purdue who took away the Herald there. As soon as the fight went down, they started running top. And solo kill? Without Encore. What?
I'm so confused as to how that happened. The opponent is probably also doing that because no summoner spells were used, right? You're taking a look. The exhaust wasn't used. The flash wasn't used. No one expected that raw amount of damage to come out, and All For One picks up, I want to call it a lazy solo kill. Just very, very calm kill. I don't know how else to call it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was lazy or not. I'm just still in shock that that happened there. And it had to be that the opponent just wasn't expecting the damage. No exhaust came out top side. Fight breaking out here.
Yeah, and Jungle is going ahead and getting into the action. That's going to be the Guillotine coming down. Both top laners are going to fall. There's a chase under the tower as Castle goes ahead and picks it up. So big win by TAB. I was going to fall through with a bit more damage as we do see the chase out. All For One and Turk are going to go ahead and take a lot of damage. But again, the slows are so good. Flash forward means that All For One should go down. One more auto attack should do it. No, you don't get it. And a boomerang is going to land a Q. Flash from Udon Beaton should secure the kill. A nice trade back and forth is going to keep Purdue Northwest within those ranks of the kill lead, but TAB getting feisty here in the early game.
Yeah, that bot side, that was more what I was expecting from this bot lane here, you know, from Seraphine and Rakan. You're both kind of squishy. If you ever get hit by a bit of poke from Poner and Udon Beaton, they start all-inning you there. So bot lane, that one surprised me less, but top side, that is how Team Ambition want to play. They're willing to die if they can get advantages for themselves. And if anything, I think Demon King Sam actually held on to that Noxian Guillotine a little bit too long there. They didn't quite get the execute in time, and that was why he ended up trading. But still, it's a 2-for-1, and I want to see Team Ambition continue to force some of these ganks into that top side, burn the Dominus, and then the Renekton becomes very diveable.
Rinse and repeat might be the name of the game, but with Infernal Drake up, as we have crested past 10.5 minutes here, might be one that Purdue Northwest are looking for, right? They really haven't been able to check it out as much. But you said it, RMC. They're going to give it a shot. And 12 Years of Jungle goes, come on. You can't call me. You can't skin me like this. All I want to do is just play the game. And Castle goes, nah, not really. Sorry. We really, really want to get that bounty on top, you know? Not even a bounty, just, you know, alligators are kind of worth a lot. Great kill, though.
Yeah. They just want to kill Orbital. Yeah. Team Ambition, they're a simple team, right? They just want to kill people. They want to get their solo lanes ahead. And Purdue is answering on the bot side. You could see that as soon as they realized the gank was happening top side, they sent No You Stink bot. And getting the Herald makes a difference now, because now you get first plate. Now you get to rotate Sivir and Soraka out of lane. And not only do you get all of that, Dragon just spawned as well, and Team Ambition are just not in position.
Yeah. So, thankfully, you will trade a Dragon for your top laner's life. Unfortunately, now that top laner's life is made into a very difficult position, as Demon King Sam does what Darius is like to do, which is quite literally sit in the middle of the lane and just, you know, mess with your top laner, mess with your opponent. Dragon does go down. We are now going to have a Mountain Soul rising to the occasion here for game number 1. And for all the craziness and for all the action, surprisingly, it's only a 200 gold difference with how bot lane fell early in favor of Purdue Northwest.
Yeah, but it's still a difference in favor of Team Ambition here. So despite the fact that Purdue has mounted an amazing defense so far, Team Ambition aren't out of it yet. the kill threat is still there on ISO whenever Rascal's matching up. We saw the Hexac Ultimatum gank setup from that Camille, and I want to see them continue going for that. You already tried ganking top here. Maybe you gank top, you burn that Dominus, but I think you leave Demon King Sam to burn that Dominus off of 12 Years of Jungle. In the meantime, Castle looks for the mid lane. All for One and Turk, they're not even factors. I love the fact that All for One picked up Leandries, but you're still not the focus of this game and likely will remain not the focus of this game until we start seeing full 5v5 fights.
Yeah, the Encore running through 3 or 4 members can be the deciding factor. It can be so dangerous, depending on how it's played. But of course, mid laners now dropping down to the bot side. Gonna try and farm things up. And as you stated, predicting where Castle was going to play towards, playing towards that top mid, making sure his mid laners are somewhat safe by clearing out those wards. But the punishment is still to come, as 12 Years of Jungle is about to get a return party, 2 birthday parties in the same weekend. That's exactly what TAB are going for. This time though, 12 Years of Jungle makes it not so much a surprise.
Yeah, and they had lots of wards. I like the fact that they responded well. They made sure they had plenty of vision there. They sent Udon Bidon up, and the moment Udon Bidon's there, it's hard to gank, but Udon, not like this.
Yeah, that's a bush gank and a half. That's the axe to the back of the head. Now they're going to dive under. A great catch and a draw in means 12 Years of Jungle gets quite literally nothing. Just like that to Ardet, and TAB have found the lane that they're going to punish for the entirety of this game 1.
Yeah, and yeah, you don't get to go through your jungle. That's not your jungle anymore. I know your turret's up, but Demon King Sam was already proxying before that. You knew that there were multiple members up there. And this time, because Udon Bidon was the one to get caught there in rotation, you couldn't make a counterplay on the other side of the map. This is the first time Team Ambition has been able to find a play which Purdue has not been able to find any answers to.
Yeah. It was well fought, well spotted, and again, well cleared on TAB's side. So Purdue are going to go ahead and stick around and try and keep their lanes relatively the same still. With those towers down, it does mean that 12 Years of Jungle will have a little bit different lane to be able to work with. Maybe he gets a little extra farm as he is hurting for it, but so ISO is going to get chunked out here, and a great Hexac Ultimatum does mean that Rascal has a huge advantage in that trade. Rascal just goes ahead and takes an easy solo kill.
Yeah, Orbital, it's not just 12 Years of Jungle who has to change in how the lanes go. It's ISO as well. We touched on the fact that Darius, Camille, these are lane counters. The longer the lane, the better they perform here. And you could see the moment we went to longer lanes, Camille had fun. Purdue trying to contest this Herald, but you're not in a great position to do that. You're already zoned out. You didn't have vision. And 12 Years of Jungle is so far behind right now, has not completed his first mythic, is a level down from Demon King Sam as well. If he shows up, he's not the tank you need to engage this fight.
Definitely not. Teleport used in the bot side, so ISO heading right back down, said, listen, I got killed. I'm still going to try and farm up the best I can. And it is going to be Rascal actually deciding not to teleport. You know the lane's long enough, you know the wave's going to crash. And with Dragon coming up in a minute, this bounce back should be enough to put TAB in control for the 3rd Dragon. Ooh, and ISO actually taking a recall. That one's always kind of rough. After using teleport directly recalling back, you're like, dang, did I really just spend that summoner spell?
Well, let's see what they pick up. If it's not the Riftmaker completion here, then it is truly unfortunate timing. There we go. So yeah, ISO is just rushing back to try and pick that up for the next fight. I think the Poner backing now, this is sort of the last call for everybody to go shopping, right? Purdue looking for whatever strength they can get. Most notably, the one person who doesn't recall, or one of the people who doesn't recall, is 12 Years of Jungle. Teleport is available for Renekton, but still no mythic. Maybe now he did just go back here. No, still no mythic. So the Dragon, even if Purdue can set up in time to actually contest this, they don't want to. And if anything, I'd like to see them try and brute force mid, trade mid for Dragon. Instead, mid turret is kind of low on the side of Team Ambition.
Yeah, just go ahead, brute force it. You're not too worried. It's a Mountain Dragon. You can give it up and be okay. And a huge chunk out of Udon Bidon might signal that, right? All for one. Those Qs, the resonance on those second strike tends to do quite a bit of damage, but they are going to chance it, right? You can see him rotating and trying to pressure in, but all you really need is Olaf. Olaf is the only one that's needed, and we're going to see 3 try and position in. Are they going to ghost in? Demon King Sam not wanting to risk it, as that is going to be the take. And then on the hunt is going to be called down as Purdue Northwest go ahead and scramble for a bit better positioning. They go ahead and take their second tower to even the tower score up.
Yeah, and the on the hunt is sort of a threat as well because Purdue had vision of where most people were there. Oh, owner?
Ooh, that's a hard dive in, and Team Ambition Black setting things up to perfection. That'll be a dive in. That's going to be a huge pop, and the teleport being used. 12 years of jungle. I'm not sure if this is what they actually want to do, and with the minions picking up some of the slack, they're going to reinitiate. This is going to be Team Ambition Black showing off their skill here. They take 3 under the mid lane tower, and just like that, TAB are looking like they're ready to cruise through a few more towers.
Yep, 12 years of jungle. You can't hold this. Dominus was popped to survive earlier as well, so he has to back off. Herald might even be able to get 3 charges because the Poner is not up. They don't have the range to try and clear Shelly.
Yeah, this is the second rush in. That'll secure at least 2/3 of the tower down, meaning that tower will not regenerate any further than a third of the HP. Feels bad, man. TAB getting a large extension on their lead thus far pre-20 minutes.
Feels bad if you're Purdue, but if you're Team Ambition, it's going to plan here. They were not getting significant leads early, but now it's blown up to about a 5,500 gold lead in their favor. And originally, in that initial trade, I thought Purdue did it really well. Team Ambition goes for Dragon. You push in, you take mid lane turret. You pop on the hunt to secure your exit as well. You're out. You're clean. Everything went wrong when Poner... The shield came out, I don't want to say early, because it was to stop the beat drop from Seraphine catching. But the problem is there's so many catch tools here, and Sivir is such a short range champion that you still walked in range of the hook from Darius. And the moment you got hooked, the moment Sivir went down, you can see Purdue doesn't have a good answer right now. Doesn't have a good way to protect their turrets. Everyone else is melee, and Team Ambition's melee, their bruisers, their tankiness is just better at this point.
Yeah, that's one of the times where you're kind of thinking, you know, if you're the Poner, maybe you wish you had the Gale Force, and then you look back and go, wouldn't have made a dang difference. Would not have changed anything. And TAB, the question now is just where do they put their lead, right? Where are they going to start positioning for this game one, right? The faster you close things out, the faster you move into the next game, the faster you get to try and extend your lead because they have everything. Let's take a look and run down those scores, right? 2, 1, and 3 for the Darius in the top side against 8, 0, 3, and 1 Renekton. In the jungle, Castle, perfect game so far. 3, 0, and 5 has affected every single lane. And Rascal in the mid lane, you know, that lane matchup, the last minute swap up, putting that Camille into that mid lane. 4, 0, 1, 2 massive items up as well.
And that's exactly where Team Ambition want to play to. All those leads you're talking about, Orbital, right? Leave Demon King Sam in a side lane. Leave Rascal in a side lane. Because who's going to answer them right now? 12 Years of Jungle is struggling against Demon King Sam. And the matchup against Camille might be better. But Rascal is 3 levels up, even further ahead. Has more gold as well. And for Purdue here, you need to start grouping up. They have no vision. They don't know Baron's being done.
Oh my gosh, and the chunk and a half. No one cares about Baron because a solo kill occurs. Rascal dropping the dubstep ignite just for good measure. That'll be the kill coming through, but now the question mark is what are they going to do? They peel the Baron so quickly. Team Ambition Black go ahead and melt through Xin Zhao. Purdue Northwest scrambling for any advantage that they can get because they are far and few between.
Yeah, and you know, Orbital, yeah, you're saying who cares about that Rascal? Who cares about, who cares about Baron when Rascal is killing 12 Years of Jungle? Now they care. They lost Baron, and Rascal is getting free push on that bot side as well with Baron buff. Everybody has to go. No one person can answer this, so they have to send 2 or more members to deal with Rascal. And look at what Team Ambition's doing. They're sieging up every other lane. All for one.
Ooh, that's going to be a good flash on the second charge of the perfect execution, which makes it not so perfect. ISO gets a little bit of a wish and is going to be able to survive. Meanwhile, All for One does not. Getting chunked out by the Sivir Boomerang. That is a huge pickup, right? You are excited that you're at least able to collect 1, but it's such a small consolation prize. Over the wall, they do tag Rascal, but I don't think NYS really wants any part of that fight.
No, not right now. And All for One, there's only 2 people you can really catch on the side of Team Ambition right now. It's All for One and Turk. Really good catch from ISO, and the fact that ISO actually got out alive was huge. If ISO had died there, not worth it. You're right, they do lose a lot of turrets, but honestly, they were going to lose those turrets anyways, and getting the kill at least onto All for One did cause Team Ambition to have to go back reset here. There's only a minute and a half left on this Baron buff, and after they take Dragon here, they probably can't finish anything off. They get one, maybe 2 waves worth of push, and only the mid lane inhibitor turret is even low for Purdue.
Yeah, this base of Purdue is looking very, very sketch right now, and it's gonna be a tag a little bit in the mid lane. Demon King Sam watches as his team is going to pick up that dragon, and here we go again. Rascal, no matter what, is saying he wants a piece, but in a 1v1 he can win, but in the 2v1 we're not sure. But the rest of the team is here. It's not a 2v1, it's a 3v4 as everyone collapses in. 12 use a jungle. The alligator gets cold once again. Castle is on a rampage, and that kill signals a grand opening here in the bot side for TAB.
I'm just shocked by how fast Castle is moving. Ghost plus Shirelli is there, just zipping right on down. It went from 1v2 to 3v2 real quick there. Now they get the siege running here. All for one, taking a bit of a hit.
Yeah, but they're going to try and go in. That's going to be an encore landing on everyone except the Poner. And that's so much damage that goes down. And Rascal now diving under the tower, gets exhausted. Can they do much more? That's going to be the tag. Seraphine double kill. One more to go, and that will be a triple, of course. But it's not going to happen as the rest of Purdue Northwest disengage back to their fountain as their base gets melted. Team Ambition Black coming out here in game number 1 in dominating fashion. We see Rascal peel off, go for the red buff because they don't think that they can end. And TAB, I mean, honestly, they're going to look for one more in the mid lane. They're going to get the tower. Can they get the inhibitor itself? And they're going to look for it. That's going to be 5 members strong. Again, with the Seraphine heal on the back line, they should have it easy. 2 inhibitors down in a single play. TAB are running the show.
Yeah, Team Ambition's composition. They're if they had an AD carry, they probably could have ended, but they don't quite have the range, and 0 for 1 might do damage to champions, not so much to turrets, but still, as you pointed out, up more than 10k right now, almost 11,000, sitting on soul point as well. 3 minutes time, Purdue has to walk out, and while Team Ambition has been struggling a little bit trying to take turrets in a defensive in a siege situation, they have not struggled winning fights whatsoever here. When Purdue walks up to that dragon, if they try and contest this, it's going to be so difficult for them to win. I don't think they're at a point yet where they can do that. 12 years of jungler, no you stink. We saw how quickly they're going down in these fights, and the Poner needs to play perfectly. If any CC hits the Poner at this point and that shield is not up, the Poner is dead. ISO, Demonic Embrace along with the Riftmaker there. It's doing damage, but it's not doing it fast enough, and all you can kill is All for One and Turk, but the ones you need to kill are Rascal and Demon King Sam.
Yeah, and Rascal, let's be real. You say kill. For 25 minutes, Rascal has been an absolute menace and has not died. So saying that that's the one you want to catch, you just can't, right? That's, even though that is one of the objectives, it's an objective that feels impossible to get right now. Yeah, you get a catch on Turk once again. The tags from NYS have actually been pretty good. I will grant him that, right? He's been able to find kind of those pokes, has a chance at the initiation. It's just what damage is going to be on their back. What can they walk in with that support? Nice ISO playing with a little bit of fire there. Chance and engage with the Darius. And it's not going to happen as Rascal is going to go solo into possibly 3.
He's baiting.
He's going to take a huge chunk out of No You Stink. That's going to jump in. Turk gets a 3-man knockup after the charm, and they're going to fire right back. I thought it takes out Turk, but the melting has begun. The melting pot of firing has been made, and just like that, TAB go ahead and decimate Purdue Northwest. One more round attack is going to do it. Nope, the guillotine. That's a triple kill as Castle goes into the stasis. Someone help their poor jungler out. They are going to get that win, as it is an ace against Purdue Northwest. Team Ambition Black run the map in 26 minutes and will take a dominating game number 1.
Although if we ignore the first 10 minutes where Purdue played really, really well and Team Ambition couldn't quite find a lead, the game really only took 16 minutes from advantage to closing. Team Ambition are playing cleaner than we're used to seeing, but the snowball is as strong as ever. And honestly, watching this game 1 Orbital, the lessons I'm taking from this right now is that Purdue's got problems here. Team Ambition, this is the style they want to play. And I liked the jungle focus onto Castle. It wasn't enough. Olaf is still in his pocket, and he played that really well as well. Sure, it's not quite as quick as the Lee Sin, but when the duels start happening, when the skirmishes start happening, the Olaf is strong. And Team Ambition just have so many pocket picks here. I think for the side of Purdue, I need to start seeing safer hyperskills from this bot lane, things like the Aphelios, the Jinx that the Poner has looked so good on so far. And 12 Years of Jungle, back to that more utility, safer style champions, tanks or that Kennen once again, because Demon King Sam, he's just so strong in lane. If you're trying to go toe-to-toe with him here, it doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes to go ahead and shore up. Purdue Northwest have a single game left before they're in the hot seat, before they really need to start buckling down. We'll see if they get it together, if they can pull it together here in Game 2, or if Team Ambition Black will continue their rampage here in the Unified Advanced League Grand Finals. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. And welcome back. We are here ready to go for game number 2. And my gosh, are we in for a series one way or another. Remember, both these teams came out 3-0 in their semifinals, which means both these teams are strong. And I was curious, was it going to go to 5 games or was it going to be another 3-0 here in the finals? Team Ambition Black are saying they want a 3-0. They want to prove that they are the champions here. I mean, that game 1 kind of showed a glimpse of how hungry they are for this victory.
Yeah, no, bro, you say that one way or another we're getting a series. I am not quite so optimistic just yet here. I need Purdue to show me a little bit more because Purdue actually played to their style. We said before, they like to sit back in the early game. They like to scale up. And with their composition, we knew the early game was going to be rough. But if they could get past the early game in good condition, they had the skilling on their side. They had the team fighting on their side if they could go to mid, late. The problem was Team Ambition. They're a strong early game team, and right now that strength directly plays to Purdue's weakness. And so going into game 2, I said that I wanted to see stronger skilling from the bot side from Purdue, not looking to necessarily try and punish the Seraphine quite as much. Maybe just ban out the Seraphine completely if you want to try and contest that bot side, but play to a strong side somewhere else in the early game. I think they tried it a little bit with the Renekton and Shincell for 12 years of jungle and No You Stink, but I think ISO and No You Stink would be a safer lane to try that into, because Demon King Sam is just way, way too strong in that 1v1. His team fights, not always the cleanest, but Demon King Sam's laning is what makes him the Demon King.
Yeah, and coupled with the leadership from Castle, a player that is coming from Mad City. We said it all throughout the regular season.
Yeah.
This is a player that specifically was almost raised to be, the captain for the team for Team Ambition Black. And now coming back into this, he is doing exceptionally well, right? Unkillable in that game. Absolutely ran the map, calling the shots in the top lane. You can't deny the impact that he's had.
No, not at all. And Castle, we say that he's raised to be a leader because he's the only remaining member from the summer season UAL champions Mad City OG here. In fact, Team Ambition Black was found for him by the previous captain, Jiggity. Mad City OG was looking for a team to put Castle into. Castle comes into this team. Team Ambition Black is a newer team. Castle is one of the most experienced players there, and he has been teaching them what he had learned in the past. And apparently what he had learned was to win, because right now they are on track to win. Team Ambition Black haven't tipped their hand at all. Every single champion we saw come out in game 1 is something that you would expect to see from them, something that we've seen them play before. The most surprising thing was the Camille flex into the mid lane, and Rascal in the first couple of weeks actually played top for Team Ambition Black. He pulled out the Camille there. So at this point, you've just got to assume that Rascal can play anything that he normally played in the top lane into the mid lane, and you've got to be careful for those flexes.
Yeah, and taking a look here, because we are getting a side swap here, Purdue Northwest are going to be on the red side, should have a couple counter picks in their own pocket. We got to run down some of these options, right? We had a lot of, I want to say, critiques coming into this. Number one, the fact that Purdue Northwest is a team that likes to play through the bottom lane, scale up. And in this situation, the Poner had our eyes for a majority of this game for them, and yet falling in a 1v1 in the bottom side to a Seraphine, it's something that is uncharacteristic and bringing a lot of questions as to whether they will apply pressure down this game.
Orbital, I know we harp on it a little bit, but to be fair, I think it's more just that we were surprised it happened than that we actually think, like that was something that we could see repeatedly in the series. I don't think the opponent is going to let that happen again. I think it was more just that he hasn't played against the Seraphine in a while, and the burst damage that can come out of Seraphine if she lands all her skills is very high. It's just that it's so conditional that you have to land everything there. So I think that's fine. I think the opponent should be okay in that 1v1. But it is an issue that we hardly saw any pressure from the side of Purdue into that bot lane. And sure, you've got a Soraka Sivir, not exactly the highest threat kill lane, but if that's your carry condition, you want to make sure that they're in a strong position there, especially when you see that your top lane's in trouble, unable to make plays, ISO needs time to scale, then throw your ganks to the bot lane. No one else is calling for it.
Yeah, I mean, you already know that a lot of this is going to go down. It's kind of expected to know, hey, we need that pressure down there. We need to scale up. However, let's see what they're going to play here as we are into draft for game number 2. Team Ambition Black going ahead and sticking with that J4 hover here in the first. Of course, they did bend away. I think it was B2 on that set in game 1. So swapping these up here, just going ahead, taking away first round, because again, for them, they don't have to ban the Lee Sin.
No, and they don't really have to change up their bans here. None of their bans were necessarily targeted at, or sort of meta bans, which you had to ban on the red side here. The LeBlanc, the Irelia, the J4, all of that was targeted at Purdue's specific champion pool. And Purdue now being on the red side here, yeah, I actually think they just banned the same things they went last time. The Lee Sin definitely up there. But maybe the Graves to Talon, they might want to revisit that and see if there's something else they want to put on the ban list. Like we said, Team Ambition has so many pocket picks that's impossible to hit them all. So the question is just, which lane are you trying to give a better matchup? And if you're looking to carry through your bot lane again, you ban that Seraphine. If you want to try and protect 12 years of jungle, you ban that Darius.
Yeah, it's the forced bans that you got to think about here. And TAB, of course, still sticking with that LeBlanc. Like you said, stick with it. No real problems with it. The only question is this time they won't get the counter picks, right? That was a whole reason that I feel like the Camille Darius kind of swap up occurred, is that they were able to play it off in that R5. This time around, they're going to have to blind pick at least 1 or 2 of those natural situations here. Best shot here. Second ban here, you have a lot of options. Is it going to be that Seraphine? Is it going to be that Darius? And I think rightfully so. We are seeing that Darius hover into Darius ban. Demon King Sam will not be able to play that champion.
And even if you ban that Darius, there's still lots of pocket picks for Demon King Sam. The Riven being another very lane dominant pick that is very niche, and perhaps 12 Years of Jungle might not be as comfortable with. The Camille that we originally thought was going to Demon King Sam, a more meta, strong split pusher. Still lots of options here. And Purdue, there's still the Graves, still the Talon that they banned out last game here. I'm curious to see if they retain one of those, because I feel like that was more towards the jungle here, or whether you just go for the top lane, because you know that even if you ban those junglers, Olaf is still on the table. Team Ambition on blue side could, if they so choose, still whip out the Xin Chao as well, even though that's not really a castle pick.
Yeah, it's not, but it's a denial from NYS, right? NYS, we did see a decent rotation of the micro skills. We saw him being able to jump into those fights, had the right rotations. It just wasn't able to follow up, right? So that is something that you do have to worry about. Talon going to be the final ban. So retaining that Talon ban, just saying, Castle, we just... You know what? You were mean enough on the Olaf to give you wall hops as well as an execution. Like, just no, we don't want to deal with it here. TAB running down that clock for the ban lists. Let's go ahead, or pick list, I should say. Let's go ahead and see what they pick up here for the first side. It's going to be zoning all the way down. And yeah, we somewhat expected this. All for one. Played very well on that Seraphine. Don't change it up.
Yeah, there's no reason to swap anything here. There's nothing super high prior that Team Ambition's trying to take away. Team Ambition is being fairly reactive here. So you pick the Seraphine because it's still partially a flex, even though we've not seen it anywhere else but in the hands of All for One. But also because what answer do you have to Seraphine? Your answer to Seraphine is either you absolutely Goomba stomp the lane, you pick a massive kill lane, or you go for the scaling option. And with the way Purdue plays, I don't think they can go for that massive kill lane. That's not their style. They've gone back to the Sivir again. It didn't do badly it didn't do badly in lane damage overall. It died once. But it's still not something that's huge. And in the team fights, that short range of Sivir, I don't know if this is the pick you want to pick into Purdue when they are such a strong brawling composition.
Yeah, you know what? I think we're going to have to agree to disagree there. You know, I heard the pain that you were trying to squeak that one out. But we do see a little change up here as well. So the Camille is actually picked up on Purdue Northwest side, and I actually like that, you know, coupled with the Sivir. This is actually what I like more. Give that Camille a little bit of a speed up if you wish to charge into the fight. So I like that lock-in of the first 2 picks. Flip onto TAB side, though, we are going to see that Olaf coming back. It is the Castle Special. So far, 2 out of 4 champions that are available to be locked in, or I should say 2 out of 3 since the Camille's on the other side. TAB are still keeping their battery the same for this composition.
And for this Camille pick, Orbital, I like Camille. I don't like it being picked this early on R2. If you pick it R3, you can ban out the counters. But for Team Ambition here, if they wanted, they could pick the counter pick here in their 3rd pick, something that could absolutely smash Camille. No, they've opted to go just for safety. They're still trying to hold their later 2 picks. And I'm curious if this is because of what they themselves did last game, where they flexed the Camille at the very end, and therefore they don't want to commit too hard to the Camille. But I don't think ISO actually plays Camille. ISO is a true-blooded mid laner here. And while Camille can apparently be played in the mid lane. She's not something that most mid laners will have in their pool.
I know for sure I don't. Good lord, if I had Camille in my champ pool, I feel I'd be able to climb a little bit better as the season's already over. But, we don't talk about that. Sivir locked in with the Braum, though. It's a little bit of a change up from the Soraka, so a little bit more aggressive on that handle. And I have to say that's going to lend itself to a bit more explosive bottom lane action, depending if those concussive blows can come down. But it is going to be the staggered or offset draft phase here, as we will most likely see a pinch champ pool on either side.
Okay, I like the Braum as an answer to the Seraphine, and as something that can deal with the Rakan. I mean, it's not the hardest counter to the Rakan, and it's an over-skill matchup. But paired with this Sivir, I'm still not completely sold that this Sivir is the answer to your problems here. Late game, crit Sivir does a ton of damage, but that's still late game, and the mid game is where they fell apart now. For Purdue, because the counter to Camille wasn't picked up in the first phase, we're seeing that Jax ban come through here. Fiora, not something that we see Demon King Sam play too much of, but yeah, they might still ban it just to be on the safe side here. And Team Ambition, on the other hand, they are pinching the jungle pool, because why not? We've already picked our jungler. You haven't picked yours, and Castle is oftentimes the driving force in the early game. Didn't happen quite as hard in game one, but come the mid game, it was still Castle driving that bus.
Yeah, and now still enabled to do such, but the set one is a little bit different in the top side, saying, hey, we know that we've already banned away the Darius. We got to take a look. I like this, though. The Vex banned away, realizing that could be a problem for the Rakan going in, right? You don't want to get tagged down. So Purdue Northwest do have their options available, and they are going to go for a relatively nice pick if they do lock in the Trundle. That'll help, soak up a little bit of the Olaf aggression if played correctly.
Yeah, and not only that, Trundle is a counter to Olaf, right? You shred his resistances further, and the only sort of CC that works on an Olaf besides death is terrain. So having that pillar will help to force Olaf to detour, and if you use it in the choke point, it can be the difference maker here. So I really like the Trundle pickup. Team Ambition, though, they're in the same position Purdue was last time, where you've got to pick your champions. Why? Oh, you've got to pick your champions, and something's got to go in blind at this point here. We saw the Akali come out last time, and that was exactly how Team Ambition punished. Purdue still have the option of swapping it. Even if ISO doesn't play the Camille, you could switch the 12-year. You could send 12 years of jungle into the mid lane. ISO. Okay, you know what? The Yone blind, I'm going to give it to them just because it's Rascal. And if Rascal picks Yasuo or Yone, either of those champions, I am tempted to just trust him blindly at this point, because the laning might not go well for him, but his Yone and Yasuo's are always playmakers in the mid game.
Yeah, I understand that the Camille Akali will not most likely be going to the mid lane, or else I call it the salty runback of the mid laners right now. I have unless they lane swap, right? Unless we're getting some calls from the teams, like, look, we want to run it back, we want to see who wins this. It would be hilarious to see. It is going to go up to Demon King Sam, though, in the top side for the Akali, and then the mid lane, of course, it is a Yone, and I love the Rise. No. I've always enjoyed seeing good Rises come out and play. And I especially like it in the R5 position, right? You give yourself a decent lane matchup. You give yourself, the poke advantage. However, you mentioned it, Rascal, on either Yone or Yasuo, you have to be worried about an explosive snowball kind of out of nowhere if you're not careful.
Yeah, and Rise, I think Orbital is great. Even picked blind a lot of times, not a ton of counters here, and the skilling and the sort of global mobility, a weaker version of that Destiny, except that you get to bring friends with you, is worth picking. Or that's why at Worlds we saw Rise being such a high prio. But in this particular case, it's a hard counter to the Yone. And Purdue's draft this time, I like it much, much more. The bot lane is my only gripe point, the Sivir Braum. And even that's not a huge gripe. They get to scale up now because their other lanes are strong. Team Ambition picked that Akali into the top lane Camille. They didn't even assume that there'd be a flex coming through. They just went, you know what? We don't care. Demon King Sam wants the Akali here. And we saw it happen last time. It's even worse in the long lane for the Akali the moment level 6 hits. And for Rascal in the mid lane, ISO's Rise has been his bread and butter this season. 6 games of Rise played. It's his most played champion. So I expect him to win it. And now Team Ambition, when I'm looking at their composition, what's their win con here? It feels like we said that your win con is always a strong top side. This time, not only do you need a strong top side, but you've got to mechanically outplay because you got counterpicked in your lanes. And for Purdue, we wanted them to have more early game strength to be able to have a winning lane to play through. They got their winning lanes, and even worse, even if they don't win their lanes, if they go even, they still scale better. So they've got everything in their bag here. Purdue just need to not lose early, and it's not even that hard.
We say that, right? And I the only thing that I can see, right? This is going to be my only thing, and this is me personally as a caster and as a player. When I see a champion picked up after a game 1 fiasco like that one, right? Like the Akali getting dumpstered, and you dumpstered on the Akali, you pick it up, it sends a little bit of a challenge, and this is where the mental game comes into play.
True.
It's something that sometimes we talk about, sometimes we don't. I have a feeling this Akali is going to be a little bit of a challenge here in the top side. This time, Demon King Sam, right? Hey, I won on the Darius. That was a lane matchup that I chose. Let's gift you this champion matchup. Let's gift you this easy kind of lane matchup in the top side. Maybe not easy, but, you know, more advantageous to the Camille. Let's see how it plays out. And most notably, it is both top laners running that Ignite here. So it is going to be a very aggressive, very fast tempo if either player gets ahead.
Yeah, and for the Camille, somewhat expected here because you are the winning side of the matchup. If you get the Ignite down, you win those trades. For Demon King Sam, I feel like it's almost a summon that you're forced to take at this point, because if you don't win your lane, your team's going to have problems here. And Obro, I love the fact that you bring up that if you pick the losing side of the matchup, it's a challenge. And it's a mental thing as well, right? For Team Ambition here, they have the safety of having won game 1. Even if they lose a game here, it's not that big of a deal in the series. But if you win with this, if you win with weaker solo lanes, the mental pressure on Purdue is going to be massive. Not only have they just lost the winning side of the matchup, which they also lost the losing side on in game 1, but their backs are going to be up against the wall. And then where do Purdue go from there? I don't even want to think about it. And for Purdue, you know, they probably don't either. So they're looking to win this one and avoid that sort of mental dilemma.
We are going to get a very quiet early start. Last time, if you remember, we saw the side of TAB rushing in, forcing a vertical jungling situation. This time around, it's going to be a little bit quieter. Castle, of course, starting out on that blue buff once again, but with no help, right? Going to be a little bit slower on the clear. NYS should be plenty to be able to get through these laning matchups pretty easily. And in the mid lane, of course, ISO on the rise. Rascal on a signature Yone. We're going to see a lot of poke, a lot of damage, and possibly heavy trades coming out all around.
Interestingly, though, on that particular start, there wasn't a leash coming through from All For One and Turk, but they did get to lane a little bit later. It's a bit of like a half fake coming into the lane, so Purdue might not be aware. They did drop a ward, but it will expire before Castle looks for that first gank, and maybe they can find it. If they can kill the Braum, they can kill the Sivir. It's not exactly a huge lane to win, getting Seraphine and Rakan ahead, but if they get the kills onto Castle, that could be the lead they need to start that snowball rolling.
Ooh. And I didn't see this until now, but I really want to pick your brain now because I had mentioned it, you know, pre-game once we saw the Sivir in game 1. The Poner swapped things up. No more lethal tempo. Went straight for that Dark Harvest. I mean, this feels a little bit more aggressive, you know, saying, hey, we're going to be throwing out the boomerang a bit more, and maybe that helps change the pace of the bottom lane.
Yeah, and the tier as well to boot. This is the poke Sivir. This is the perma push Sivir. I'll poke you down under turret. They're looking for lane control here, and they're looking to get themselves 3 winning lanes across the board, get NYS all the objectives here, and get the scaling. I love the adaptation, and at least so far, it's been panning out. They are winning these trades bot side.
An ISO. Wow. It's very rare to see a Rise get forced into no mana territory so early on. But it has happened, right? ISO not going to enjoy that. Now Castle, though, possibly getting caught out, does have flash, but is going to get stunned up. Should be pretty easy. Collapse down, but they're going to try and fight this. ISO, though, is on the rotate, so this is going to be a 3v4.
He's got no mana.
But that's just a kill. That's just a raw kill coming out. Now they have to run away. Castle is going to try his best to turn it around, but can't have it happen. And this should be the rest of the wash for Purdue Northwest. They do get a trade back. A little bit of a slow All For One, though, getting chunked out. That, I believe, is 3 sacks Dark Harvest. Most notably, though, First Blood went into the Seraphine's pocket, and it's a trade of 2 for 2.
First blood actually went into Castle's pocket orbital, and I was tracking it because if Castle gets ahead, that's a win. And for Team Ambition here, that bot side fight was a huge mess. Roscoe didn't even get the advantage of shoving that mid lane because he actually ended up rotating late towards that bot side. So the winning part of that play was that Castle got first blood and NYS went down as well. Can't get the lead. Now they're refighting over here, but Castle is a level up. The supports make all the difference.
Ooh.
Turk is on his way.
Yeah, but that's going to be the stun. I think this might be a fight that they took at a really rough advantage. However, that's going to be the chunk out for the team jumping in. That's going to be a teleport as well. Turk is going to have to walk away. Demon King Sam, though, left kind of all alone. And oh, misclick. Misclick coming out here. 12 years a jungle goes ahead and burns his TP as well. You know what? They still got the kill, but that one's an oopsie daisy.
True. A little bit rough for 12 years of jungle, but they did win out the kill. They didn't actually get the scuttle at the end of it. They decided to back out there, and that was Purdue making those early moves we're talking about here. They rotated Udon Bidon up first, and you love to see it. Not only do they have the better scaling, the better lanes, they're making the better moves.
So far, Purdue Northwest have looked a bit stronger here in Game 1, and I also have to point out, it's not so much that all the gold that they've accrued has gone into a single person, right? This is actually something that doesn't get talked about enough because it's kind of standard, right? We're supposed to see the kills kind of split up around specific champions. It's nice to see the gold spread to every single lane, but 2 kills to the mid lane, right? ISO in this mid lane is going to need all the help that they can get to be able to take down Rascal. A kill to the opponent in the bot side and 2 assists means that this poke build is able to come online much faster. And then the Braum as well, Udon Bidon, gonna be sacking that armor, magic resistant health at a much more rapid pace.
Yeah, and for Purdue here, there's really no bad pocket for the gold to go into. Udon Bidon is probably the worst in quotation marks, and like you pointed out, being tankier early might make the difference in these fights where Unbreakable is soaking so much of the damage here. And the Unbreakable is going to be important throughout this game, even later on, because All for One's Encore can get blocked by it. The charm will still go through, but it won't bounce any further.
All right, well, here we go. The chance has been made. Hextech ultimatum has been thrown down, but
he's out.
For Demon King Sam, he's actually going to chance it and wanted to dance it a little bit more. Actually, you can see the second charge of Perfect Execution is still there. That's going to be the first Hextech ultimatum challenge that we've seen thrown down. Demon King Sam weathering that very nicely.
Yeah, and not only did Demon King Sam get out alive, that was NYS looking for the gank. Time spent out there instead of clearing his bot side jungle. Ignite used by 12 years a jungle as well. And you can see with that Conqueror already, Demon King Sam is going to be happy to sustain in lane. Actually cancels the back as well.
Demon King Sam throwing down the gauntlet here. So this is actually something we saw in Game 1 as well. TAB kept cheating, or I think it was actually PNW cheating and keeping everyone in lane right on that bot side. There's the same thing occurring now on the top side. No one, you want to keep them in lane as long as possible, especially with the teleport advantage. And that's crazy to watch, right? Demon King Sam healing up very, very nicely. Did pick up the sword shoes early as well, so that's just kind of raw penetration going in there. But the main reason, I think, is because his dragon has still not been taken, right? This is an ocean to help the early game once again, and neither team has made moves to go for it until now.
Yep, Purdue recognized that, hey guys, we probably should be going for this, and I'm a little bit scared for them because Demon King Sam does have teleport. 12 years a jungle doesn't, but thankfully Team Ambition, they're not quite there yet. They see it now, but it's only Rascal and it's too late. Dragon's already down to less than half health. Can they make a play cross map to match it? Herald being started up by Castle.
I think that was a play that was already kind of defined right at that point. You know, no reason to force that. You already kind of lost the mid lane. Bottom lane was going in favor of PNW as well. So it's a little bit hard to say, you know, do you actually want to challenge that dragon? Instead, good positioning by Castle, right? As the dragon was going down, about 50% HP left, you go for that Herald, and that should allow you to maybe take it to that top side, as Demon King Sam has done very well in pressure that top lane tower, and that could be a window of opportunity to get a gold lead running up. As TAB have been able to fashion themselves, I want to say, a 300 gold lead. Nothing too serious, but still staying up in that gold is very nice for a team that is supposed to have a bunch of losing lanes.
Yeah, I think the only lane that's really losing for Team Ambition right now in terms of CS is that mid lane here. Everybody else is actually up pressure, well, up CS, but not pressure so far. And Team Ambition it's not the perfect position, but they'll take it for now. We saw last game, it was around the 12-minute mark where Team Ambition really started to pop off. And we might see that yet. Castle was one to kick things off, and Turk has been making all these map moves. You can punish the Rise, especially now that Rascal is level 7, has that ultimate here. I'm just waiting for the items to come through, because I think once we see that one item power spike, that's when Team Ambition is going to really kick things into high gear.
They kind of need to, right? Once those items come in, they better come early because they don't scale into the late game as well. So that's what they do have going for them. Rascal going ahead, throwing down a little bit of a knockup early. You see the ganks in mid, but I mean, it's a little bit too in the middle. Rascal is easily able to walk his way out. And from the early game, for all the action that we had in the early game, it's really calmed down. Teams have been fairly tame as they just keep trying to farm up, still try and stack the leads that they so desperately need.
Yeah, and the leads are accruing, especially in this jungle position. Notice who they're sending to the mid lane top side, though.
All right, that's the challenge zone down, and Demon King Sam. Okay. That was disrespectful, is the best way to put it. Demon King Sam picking up a solo kill.
Wait, how is King Sam doing this when 12 Years of Jungle couldn't do this? Or, pardon me, ISO couldn't do this last game.
Disrespect!
I'm so confused. I mean, like, on one hand, I'm looking at it going like, yep, that's an Akali. Yep.
Yeah.
That feels like what happens to me in solo queue. But on the other hand, it's like, where was this matchup last game here? If Demon King Sam starts to get a hit on this Akali, it actually could be what they need to break this game open, because ISO is ahead of Rascal, but not significantly. And we've been over this Silver Braum lane multiple times now. They're not going to be the big thing that tips the skills in their favor. And if the Akali gets a hit as well, sure, Rise does well into the Akali, but the Sivir becomes vulnerable. No You Stink is not tanky either, will not be tanky anytime soon.
It's just not meant to be right there, but that's a walk in, and with the Everlast completed, Rascal was not ready for it. That's going to be a tag into the Ignite, and now they're going to challenge, but that's a double knockup. Are they going to turn it around? A nice block by the wind wall, but it's not going to happen. The Unbreakable Shield is broken, as that's a double kill. Castle right back on his ranking. He is now 3-2-2. It's happening again, RMC. I'm not sure if that's what we want to see, but Castle is going to enjoy that double kill.
It's definitely not what Purdue want to see. And 18 seconds there was roughly when Castle joined the fight. And honestly, to me, it's less about Castle, more about Turk. Turk, with that disruption, saved Rascal's life. And you could see Rascal thinking, do I go in with the Fade Shield here? Good patience not to go in and pick up those kills. I know that Yone wants them, but not worth risking your life. And you ended up getting 2 for naught there. Nice and clean play. Strength to Team Ambition, but is it enough to take over the lanes? Probably not. Castle is strong, but Rascal is still struggling a little.
Ooh, and Rascal, the main thing, again, we talked about it, right? This is a lane matchup that the Yone doesn't exactly win. And considering how much pressure they're putting mid, we consider this a win. We consider this a huge win that Rascal is still 0 deaths in.
Yeah, I mean, Rascal is getting focused down. I wanted to point out the fact that Team Ambition had been sending Turk to apply pressure in the mid lane, whereas Purdue was using No You Stink. So NYS is 2 levels behind right now, whereas Turk soaking up the experience is perfectly fine, is still even with Udon Beat On. And it's starting to show a little bit in these fights right now. Purdue has to send more people to that mid lane to apply the same amount of pressure. And with Dragon coming up in 20 seconds here, if they can't find the pressure they want mid, that next fight might not go in their favor. And even if they do get the Dragon, if it takes too long here, 12 Years of Jungler might die in that top lane, that 1v1.
I think it's going to happen no matter what. Even if the Dragon goes out, like we're just waiting for it to happen. Demon King Sam rightfully owning that name right now, at least in this game specifically. Winning matchup, you get the lane advantage. Losing matchup and help from the enemy jungler, you still get that lane advantage. This is getting a little bit out of control, but
TP.
You know, this is going to be the question. That is going to be a little bit of a catch. A nice route with the Everfrost is going to keep the Rise out, but now you're in a 3v2. I don't think this is what they want. PNW are going to try and chase it back. Remember, Castle is very strong. A nice little route, but No You Stink is dead, and now the chase can get her another double knockup. Turk is putting on a grand show, as that is an immediate set of kills, and Demon King Sam is gonna route. 12 Years of Jungle disaster strikes here as PNW walk into their deaths, and Team Ambition Black take a massive team fight win in their first Dragon of this game.
And Purdue just looks so split there, Orbital, at the beginning of that fight. ISO got left on his own. They were together, and they decided to split. 12 Years of Jungle teleported first as well, but was the last one to actually reach that fight for Purdue. The teamwork here looking a little bit disparate. They lose the dragon, they lose kills. The only sort of consolation is that Demon King Sam didn't manage to get that top lane turret, didn't get full shove topside, actually did join the rest of the team TPing down, but did pick up a kill. And now with Riftmaker completed, the Mythics are starting to come in for Team Ambition. They're mostly not there for Purdue yet, so Purdue cannot contest this Herald in a 5v5. Team Ambition could pick this up and accelerate the game once again in their favor.
And I want to go back to something that you had said earlier on, right before that huge fight broke out in the bot side. Turk, right? At about level 3 or 4, he has pretty much exclusively been roaming, right? He has been roaming around, making sure the lanes are ahead. And multiple times we were watching these fights kick off because Turk is so clean on those engages. The opponent is not ready for it. He is by far one of the stars that has kind of risen in this series so far, even just over the course of 2 games.
Yeah, a lot of times we see Turk kind of bodyguarding all for one through the laning phase, especially because a lot of teams have opted for kill pressure in that bot lane. But this time, it isn't there. You've got a Braum Silver, and Turk has been making moves with Castle, making more moves in the top lane again.
We were just talking about it, and Demon King Sam wants to go for it, but he might have dove in a little bit too far. No, is able to help get the kill. That kill, though, it is going to go down to the Trundle, but this is a tower dive that I'm not sure they want to take. Remember, no Ragnarok is really there. A little bit of rough time. That is going to be a little bit of a hold. Axe goes a little bit wide, but look at the bot lane. Look at the snap to the kill. Rascal is able to pick up a solo kill. Now the opponent is on the top side. Should get a couple boomerangs, one little pillar should help out, and that's going to be the sustain though. Castle almost gets it, and hey, look who's here to party. It's the singer herself into the encore, but not enough, just shy about 50 HP. For all the chaos that did occur, that is going to be a team fight win for Purdue Northwest.
And they might be, I was going to say, they might be able to get more damage on this turret, but they ran out of minions here. Castle, I love the fact that he flashed back and he knew he was dead. The pillar, great pillar from NYS to cut off any escape from Castle. Couldn't get into the bush even though there was a ward in there. But the flash back to slow down Poner and let All For One get in almost netted them more kills. The other surprise to me was Rascal winning against ISO out of seemingly nowhere. He's got a 2-level lead right now, and he did that without a Mythic. Once he gets the Mythic here, ISO might start losing this, and if Demon King Sam's winning, if Rascal's winning Orbital, that's how Team Ambition won Game 1.
I don't think it's fair to say to Rascal that, hey, might start, the Yone might start winning this lane. I feel it's already happened, right? ISO is now circling to try and stay away from Rascal. They're actually sending 12 Years of Jungle to try and deal with this. He is quite literally kind of stuck in this chain. He got the early 2 kills and has yet to actually pick anything up. At that point, it was 2-0-2. He has died 3 times in a row without a single assist or kill since that early game. And that does not bode well, right? I was talking about it. I love Rises. I love when this champions can scale up. The problem is in just about every single scenario, he has fallen behind. It feels like those lucky chance that he was able to pick up.
I mean, ISO won the early game. He did get all the poke down early. He was, 2-1, I believe, before that series of unfortunate events. It's just Rascal's been able to find more with the team. They're up 7 kills as a team right now. And if you're ISO, you're probably not too happy that, your lane opponent, I was winning my lane. He leaves my lane. Why did you guys feed him, right? Yeah. And now they're sieging up his turret as well. And all the turrets for Purdue are very, very low. First brick hasn't happened yet, but if Team Ambitions want to get first brick, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing all 3 outer turrets go down in rapid succession. Whereas for Purdue, they only really got chip damage on this bot lane turret here. The mid lane's still fairly healthy. Top lane is largely untouched.
Rascal playing a little bit deep there, and you can see the rotate out from the Trundle. Oh, but spotted out as well. Turk Turk was not spotted. Oh, that's such a great call, but that's going to be a Hexic Ultimate Rascal. I feel like
Rascal
you should have
on the
known
turret.
that this was going to happen, but that's going to be the fate seal. Jump in, one more, and he gets it. That's a trade of 1-for-1 Rascal. All right, that was a little bit cheeky. I'm not sure if you needed to do that, but
No.
you got the kill, and it's now a 3-on-3 for this Dragon.
Was that necessary? No. Was that a good choice? Probably not here.
Ooh, but now we're going to get to see the fight. Turk is getting
He's-
taken quite low. Encore is
Sam's
going to
coming?
whiff, but they teleport themselves out. That is actually a rough scenario to be in. I'm not sure if that's the right call, because that actually gave time for TAB to reposition and allow
Sam's
Demon King
here.
Sam to join. Perfect execution is up. One more slam is going to do it. Snaps into ISO. That's going to be the Ignite kill. And
Years
just
is
like
coming.
that, PNW have put themselves into straights. 19.5 minutes is looking like a second set of a team fight win. That's going to be the root down on 12 years of jungle. He is going to try and jump out. Axe lands on the back of the Camille's head. And that will be TAB going ahead and getting a stranglehold around this third dragon.
Here's the problem, Orbital. Purdue's engage on the dragon wasn't bad. The Realm Warp out was actually necessary. They were about to get smashed in that fight. The Realm Warp bought them the time for some of their cooldowns to come back up. But if that's a good fight for them, they got wiped. What do they do now? Where do they play to? The winning lanes are behind, so the split push isn't working. The team fight isn't what this composition wants to do. Udon Bidon is playing out his mind trying to keep people alive, trying to get the team fight engages, but after it goes down, what happens? The Poner, not enough team fight damage. This is lethality. Poke Sivir. This is not that team fight crit Sivir.
That was a flash in the top side as well. So ISO is going to get the root. This is the tried and true combination. Rascal trying to get over the wall, but
Oh,
can't.
he
A
can get out.
nice clip on the Udon beatdown, so that should be the kill. Flash out. No, Rascal.
He's got a Moto Shield bow too, so look at that healing. He's going to
Yeah,
be right
that's
back up there.
that's so mean. Like ISO flash for that. He sent it all, and the Rise gets nothing.
It's the right play though,
Yes.
from Purdue. It's unfortunate it didn't work out, but I respect the flash. And if you're ISO, you do that every single time in that situation. You're looking to make that play happen. And sure, you burnt your flash, but so did Rascal. And next time, Rascal can't do that. Shall we skating her way in? Can she actually get the charge off? I think they stopped. Yeah, I don't think Herald got the charge off.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be a I want to say a lost Herald right there. We're gonna see Turk go ahead and get a knockup, but I don't want to take that chance. Remember, this is Cloud map here. This is going to cause a little bit of chaos. That means that the rotates happen a little bit quicker than you're expecting. So rightfully backing out, Turk says, hey, we don't want to take that chance just yet. But let's talk about who would be willing to take that chance. 7-2-2. Demon King Sam has been flying through these items at breakneck pace. 2 full items and a component to boot.
Demon King Sam has not been taking any chance. He's been playing such a clean game on this Sivir so far. There was, I think, one top lane dive, and that was about it. Everything else, though, has been beautiful janitorial DOE coming in after the initial fight comes through, after a lot of the CC gets blown, and it's just packing the damage. And now in this 1v1, 12 Years of Jungle was already struggling before. Down 2 items right now, or 1 major item. That is going to continue being Demon King Sam's playground.
Oh my gosh. Rascal sent it. I love it so much, but now we're going to see a little bit of
Baron?
root over the wall. They did catch that Seraphine. It's going to be taken so low. They're going to try and flash out, and they do. And Turk is going to sacrifice, but that might be another boomerang. It's going to go just a little bit wide. They're going to try and fight it back, but a huge whiff. Oh my lord. The amount expended right there is going to be in PNW's favor as they find a kill. They force the Seraphine out, and it's now going to be a charge down this mid lane.
Really good play and pick there coming through from Purdue. And you know what? That wasn't a whiff from All for One. That is an actual literal zoning ultimate there. You don't put that down. On the Hunt was still running. They were going to chase down the Seraphine, and Seraphine couldn't get away. The Encore bought the time needed, but it came at the expense of Turk. It came at the expense of pressure, and it might come at the expense of this turret as well.
Is going to be the call in the bottom lane fight. Tower does fall down. Axe lands on Udon Beaton's head. Rascal gets a double knockup, so this could be the chance. No, you stink. No, you fall. Castle's going to keep charging in, but I don't think anyone else is able to follow up. Is going to flash over the wall. Is going to be able to survive, so is able to take one. Is able to win out there. Meanwhile, on the bot side, 12 Years of Jungle had to skedaddle out of that bottom lane after losing a heavy trade, which means Demon King Sam is still exerting his own pressure, allowing TAB to go for this early Baron.
Yeah, Demon King Sam is proxying the wave here. I think Baron a little over ambitious here. I would like to see the teleport come up from Demon King Sam before they actually make that play, because I know it's coming up, but it's not there yet.
No, it
And
is.
if you lose the fight at Baron, that's a way for Purdue to get back into the game. But well, I want to talk about Castle, because we saw that engage, that rundown. Sure, it was Rascal getting the knockups, but it was Castle running them down.
Yeah.
And it's an Olaf, but I feel like Castle's playing Lee Sin. He lands a Q, he goes in, and then he uses the flash to get back out. Exactly the way you'd use it on a Lee Sin with the Q in and the safeguard back out here. And it's still working. He's maintaining this level lead. He's maintaining this pressure. And next time they find this pick, next time if they can find 2 members, that's going to be Baron. And we've seen Team Ambition play from a lead before. When they've got Baron, they know how to close out games.
Yeah, this is now going to be a fight. ISO is isolated and is now going to fall here. That is his 5th death of the game. Still no kills. A single assist has been brought up since his early game score. But again, this Rise is getting punished extremely heavily here. Well fought by Rascal, did not secure a top lane advantage, and is going to pull at least 1 member up there to have to deal with him.
Yeah. The moment anybody is dead or pulled off the side lane, Team Ambition, they can just make a play for an objective. Dragon this time. The ults are actually pretty influential. We've seen Rascal use that Fate Seal as an engage tool for the team. The Ragnarok from Castle, massive. The Encore from All for One, as well as Turk's ultimate. Just huge ultimates for them. And I'm actually very worried for the Soul as well, because when you look at this team right now, one of the biggest things they're able to do is run people down. If you're letting the Olaf get movement speed bonuses, he's going to run you down. If Rascal gets it as well, he can look for the engage. Well, might have bit off a bit more than he can chew.
Quite a bit more than he could chew. Subjugate plus a chomp on his neck as No You Stink goes ahead and allows that kill to go through. But now we're going to see a chance. 3 members rotating in, and it is dark, but I mean, I don't know if you really want to take this chance. Remember, Akali is recalling now, and that could be a teleport in. Baron still laying down the debuff, and this is not going to be the call. ISO is going to be the one taking a look at. That's going to be a shuriken landing, and that should be the call in. That's a huge taunt, and that is going to be the realm warp canceled. Seraphine, all for 1, all for 2. That's a 4-0-8 pop star. Way to a victory.
And this is the problem. Purdue, they're taking the risky Baron, and you can do that if there's no vision. But they walked over the scuttle, and when you're behind like that, it's already going to be big enough problem. Demon, Sam, no. That's dirty. That's absolutely dirty. Yeah, Purdue can't really contest this. NYS has Flash available, but they don't have the vision to make this play here. So if he goes in blind, and you can see the constant threat from people trying to keep him off. NYS.
All right. He's going to try. Does have flash.
He's in,
but that's going to be poorly. I think he's just dead, and Rascal is going to follow through on 12 Years of Jungle. Baron is taken. That's going to be 5 kills around this Baron alone. And that is TAB putting a mark. Yes, it's a little bit slower. Yes, we're now at 27 minutes. TAB don't care. They have everything in their hands, and all it takes is a little bit of a push to go ahead and secure a couple towers and maybe an inhibitor.
They did it with losing lanes, Orbital. Sure, it's 27 minutes, but they did it with losing lanes. They got the Baron as well, and now Purdue is in a really awkward position on the hunt popped here. They're looking for Rascal.
Yeah, they're just going to try it again.
Okay.
We talked about Rascal overstepping his boundaries, but he got the tower, right? He got the tower. We'll just call that a faster recall.
Not so much. 45 seconds on that recall there, Orbital. This one's going to take a while. And even worse was he had Baron. He no longer has Baron here. 4v5 push as well now makes it very hard for Team Ambition Black. So you got 1 in a turret when you could have had potentially 3. They're still sieging this up right now, but they do have to be careful.
Yeah. And that was a little bit of a chunk, and Udon Beaton goes, man, I did not like that aggression back. The axe on the back of his head did more than I think more than the Trundle could do. We are seeing those 3 members going ahead and pressuring in this mid lane. Seraphine still on the bot side, so it is going to be a 3-1 semi-split push. Trying to break open this last, this mid inner tower. But the chunks from the, man, my brain is escaping me. Right, we'll take it out.
Yeah, and Sivir, one of the best wave clearing AD carries in the game, so really effective against the Baron minions. You just need to make sure opponent doesn't get caught out, doesn't get killed, and that was why it hurt so much to see Rascal go down. Rascal is back up, but he's going to take time to make it across the map. There's only 1 minute left on this Baron power play here for the teams, and finally, All For One gets the minions up to this bot lane, and at least still take 2 inner turrets for their pains.
Oh, yeah, and maybe they chance for a bit more. Right, we're starting to see the Akali and Rascal are pushing around. Rascal is running in between, now has the GA, that's 3 items deep, and Rascal's gonna jump in. No rope poke to go through, the Everfrost is gonna slow his advances, so again, just getting the pressure down, but that Boomerang did a decent chunk to deter them from actually tower diving, I feel.
Yeah, Serpent's Fang, Mirror Mana completed as well. Right now, the Poner's Q certainly does hit well, and honestly, it works out better than the game one when we didn't see this sort of poke build, because the Poner's not getting a ton of auto attacks off in these fights right now. It's a lot of just walking in 1-2 autos, 1 or 2 boomerang blades, and then you walk back out. So it's a lot more effective, and the wave clear is the more important thing right now. Team Ambition is struggling to push, and yes, they did manage to get all 3 inner turrets, but this is where the difficulties really start. Because even on those inners, you saw on those sieges, they weren't terribly effective. What actually worked was taking a turret, pulling apart Purdue, and then pushing in. With the inhibitor turrets, it's much more difficult because Purdue has the shorter lane to run, and Team Ambition have to funnel through some dicey choke points. Udon Bidon has died a lot, but his Glacial Fissures have also been really good at disengaging here. And with those choke points, it's so easy to line them up.
Yeah, and Rascal still playing with fire, but talking about Don, and he has a giant target, right, on at least one of the members. That's going to be a call in, though. Remember, the opponent doesn't have any of the spell shields. That should be a second kill, as that is 3 items deep for Demon King Sam. So strong, they're going to follow through. Glacial couldn't even go off, and now Charm off, follow through. Hexagon Ultimatum is going to draw to base, and they're going to have to chase out of their own base. A double knockup to catch them out. They can't even run away. This is Team Ambition Black's game to lose as they slap an it on this game 2. That will be a triple kill for Rascal in that fight, and that will be Team Ambition Black closing out a game 2, putting 2-0 in this final series.
In the blink of an eye, Orbital, I was just singing the Poner's praises, the wave clear that could come through. But you live by the Poner, you die by the Poner. A single catch was all it took. Demon King Sam just decided, enough of this. We will dive. Had Zonia's available, and Team Ambition Black, we sit at the beginning of the game, Orbital. If they can win with these losing matchups, they can take the same matchup which Purdue lost with and win with it. What do Purdue do now? It's no longer just a question of banning out Demon King Sam. You already banned out the Darius, you banned out the Jax, you banned out the Set, and he won with the Akali. Do you keep throwing bans into this top lane, or is this where you cut your losses and kind of go, okay, sorry, 12 years of jungle, we're going to put you on weak side, just survive, we won't throw much resources your way, all in on the Poner, all in on ISO, because ISO did win the early game, and the Poner was looking pretty strong come mid.
Yeah, there's so much that has to be taken into account, so much that they might have to go back to the drawing board for, because it's crunch time. This is it. If you want to pull it, I have to do it 3 times in a row. That is the call here, so do not go anywhere. We'll be right back with Game 3 of this fantastic Unified Advanced League series to see who is crowned the winner. And we are back ready to go for a game number 3 and potentially the end of this series. And this is something crazy to me. Again, this is, I always feel, is the 2 likely outcomes in teams that go 3-0 in their semifinal series. Either one team is just dominantly even higher above the other one, or it goes to a game 5, and right now we're getting the former right now. TAB on track to go ahead and close this one out in dominating fashion.
Yeah, and Team Ambition right now in the playoffs, they've dropped 1 game the entire way. The first game of the round of 16 they dropped. And since then, they've been on a 7-game win streak. Oh, sorry, is it 7 now? No, it's more than that because they just won the last 2 here. They're on a 9-game win streak. And for Castle specifically, we mentioned he is one of the reigning champs. They 3-0'd their finals last split. He's on track to pull off a repeat with a 3-0 in this one. And for Purdue, I looked in Twitch chat during the break, Orbital. I know, filthy habit, but Twitch chat still has faith. They're calling for the Purdue reverse sweep, and I don't know how Purdue's going to do it. I'm looking at their champ pools. I'm not seeing it. I thought their draft last game was already really good, so it has to be the players stepping up, and if there was ever a time for Purdue to do it, now is the time. Your backs are up against the wall. You've been immaculate up to this point. They've been such a clean team, and we need to see them return back to that style, to that form here now to keep their finals dreams alive.
Yeah, and something I kind of want to point out, right? And I always have a kind of point that I want to point out. It's well known now at this point, but ISO, there was something that I wanted to say about his play on the rise. There were some question marks I personally had. Number one is the fact that if you're going in, you need to go in as a team, right? Make the call together. And there was one point that highlighted maybe the mismatch and how they want to approach some fights. There was a dragon fight that they actually got the pinch. It was a 4v3, I believe, with I believe it was Demon King Sam teleporting in, and ISO ended up teleporting his entire team out of the dragon fight, ended up resetting the fight and gave the opportunity, right? And that just highlights maybe they're a little bit unsure. And you said it, right? Draft was great. Had a fantastic draft. Need to be a bit more in sync with each other here for game 3.
Yeah, and in that moment, I still think ISO realm warping the team out wasn't the worst possible call. Because yes, there was a position where they could turn on Demon King Sam. But by that point, I feel like Demon King Sam might have been able to survive. At that point, are you really turning the flank, or have you just walked into the meat grinder? So that's a 50-50 situation. Maybe Orbital, you called her out. Maybe it would have been better if they had just stayed and turned and fought. But we won't know unless in game 3 here, they run it back with the picks. I mean, Purdue is going to stay on the red side for game 3, and I do think that's a better side for them. You cannot afford to give up the counter pick to Demon King Sam or Rascal at this point. They've won losing matchups. You give them a winning matchup, and they will smash it. So Purdue, they had a good draft. I want to see a similar winning draft. Maybe change out the silver here. You know, I'm not really sure what else you can change out because I do think that draft was a good one.
Yeah, and I mean, the changeup as well from, I want to say, the Poner was also good, right? It was very well thought out, you know, in terms of how it was supposed to go, right? The changeup of the Runes and Masteries did give, I want to say, a decent bit of buffering for the early game, much better than in game number 1. So those little changeups, I think, can provide some bonuses, some, you know, extensions to your life if you go into the bottom lane. The Braum as well had a pretty good time. Udon beat on. We were singing his praises pretty much. You know, the Glacial Fissure is doing pretty well. Just falling in the latter stages was the problem. So TAB here moving into this game 3 on the blue side once again and keeping with the status quo. Still been in the LeBlanc 3 games in a row. ISO will not be allowed to play that champion.
Yeah, because it's such a strong playmaking champion. And the 2 champions that I was eyeing for ISO was the Rise and the LeBlanc. And we've already seen the rise. It wasn't enough to carry. So you keep that LeBlanc off the table. ISO has to try and find something else in his toolkit which can have the same impact. And for the first time this series, the Seraphine ban coming out from the side of Purdue. I do like it because, you know, so far, All For One's been doing an amazing job absorbing pressure in multiple 1v2 situations, allowing Turk to roam up. You take that Seraphine away. All For One still has the Syndra in the back pocket if he wants to go that AP carry, but Syndra is not going to be quite as comfortable in a 1v2 situation.
Yeah, you know, it's. I feel like the old Cassiopeia as well. It's starting to wane a little bit in how powerful it is in that bot lane. We don't see Cassiopeia anymore, and if you do, it's once in a blue moon. Even the Ziggs, right, is a better option there. So, Syndra possibility. However, hard focus now in that bot lane, doubling down and crushing that bot lane sphere. TAB will not be able to run either the APC or support that they've had in games 1 and 2.
Okay, the Rakan was really effective last game, right? We talked about the Turk roams with Castle to really enable Castle to pop off. But I don't think it's really worth a ban. Leona, Nautilus, there's so many other roaming support champions that Turk could pick up. And I was going to say, look at what they left up instead. They banned the Talon. You're giving Castle his most played champion? Orbital, if this gets locked in, I'm already scared here. Yep, it gets locked in, and Team Ambition, they're on the cusp of victory.
Not just that, let's talk about the fact that, hey, game 1 left it open, game 3, you don't have a choice. The Darius is also a threat, like so many of these picks, right? And we talked about it. This is the benefit of TAB's players. It's the benefit of their players having such deep champion pools, as well as specific niche picks that they can bring about. So, PNW gonna have to play to the meta here. What's next in line? Xin Zhao might not be the answer, so let's go with the Olaf, right? Castle has played that 2 games. Maybe NYS will have a better time, but we know what happens when PNW try and chase TAB's success on these champions.
Ooh, the change up here, Orbital. I like this a lot. We're calling for, you know, Jinx Aphelios, something that scales up nicely for the opponent, and Aphelios is a good call here. The other thing that is nice about the Aphelios pickup is if you were to ban the Syndra and the Seraphine away from All For One, I was thinking, what does he default to after? And I was thinking back to the early part of UAL, the first half, when he was actually playing AD carries. Aphelios was his bread and butter then. So you deny the Aphelios pick away. Syndra does interestingly into Aphelios. Yeah, there we go. There's skill threat at level 6, but at the same time, it's not like Aphelios has no way of dealing with the Syndra. Once you pick up the Immortal Shield Bow, if you are running red-white, you are more than happy to opt into those trades. You just have to dodge out a couple of those orbs and you're good to go. Rascal, though, blinding the Yone here. And this matches their style. It's rare to see Demon King Sam blind pick the champion. Even the Darius wasn't exactly blind pick. They had the Camille. They knew the counter pick. It was the R5 last game as well. The Akali Yone, they knew what they were running it into. So Rascal is going to blind this. And he won his lane into the Rise before. He's feeling super, super comfortable now.
Yeah, this is getting up there, but a hard swap up again. So they've gone from utility to aggressive. Now back to utility on PNW's side. The Karma will be locked in with that Aphelios. It's a tried and true lane matchup that we've seen be able to skirt the early game, power into the mid to late. And I really do like that. However, banning away some of the champions that can cause problems, the Leona PNW will not allow Turk to have that champion.
Yeah, and not only is the Leona a good ban away from Turk, but the Karma pickup from Udon Bidon as well is going to negate a lot of whatever Syndra brings to the table. Because you put that shield up, the burst doesn't go through, Aphelios doesn't die, Aphelios wins the extended trade. I'm not sure if you need to continue banning roaming supports here. If you do, it's because you think that Turk is just going to abandon All For One. Because Nautilus into Karma honestly isn't that bad a matchup. We've seen the Karma win that a lot of times here, being able to shield up the engage, use the tether to disengage, and you've got the poke the entire time. So I don't think it's necessary if you're thinking just about lane. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they challenged you right there, and they said, well, we'll do you one better, RMC. We'll go ahead and throw another roaming support ban in there, and just continuously saying we don't want to see that. So this Also
Okay.
might be the first time that we see the bottom lane go toe-to-toe with each other in an extended laning period. That is something that I'm kind of curious about. But of course, there's still plenty to work with, right? Plenty of other champions that can be roaming. I was thinking about it in the back of my head. I was thinking maybe a Pyke coming out on the bot side would be hilarious to watch. I think it'd be fun. You know, it would be up Turk's wheelhouse, just be like, hey, I still have this one. But TAB going ahead and banning away the Fiora to follow 2 top lane bans to try and give Demon King Sam a bit better time here and what will most likely be a blind pick top.
Yeah, once again, they're trying to put 12 years a jungler on a very limited champion pool. And yeah, there you go. The moment you force them off these sort of carry style champions, you can pick the Darius. You can pick things like the Riven as well into something like an Ornn and then dominate the lane here. So now for Demon King Sam, you're good to go. The Darius is still open and available. You can just continue playing strong side here if you want. He went for the Riven instead. Okay, works just as well. Much riskier for the Aphelios, but I think this is actually a lane you could punish with the Olaf here, with the Ornn, with the Olaf, especially post 6. Ornn, infamous for doing tons of damage despite being a tank, and with the Olaf Ragnarok as well, you can ignore the knockups, ignore the stun, and Riven is kind of squishy. You have enough damage to burst her down.
Well, what will cause a little bit of a problem for PNW is going to be the problem in the bot side.
Okay.
I've not seen this lane combination specifically. I haven't seen it run very well either. Just the synergy isn't there. But it's great for a defensive tool.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to go ahead and pick it up. You can block the Ornn Horn. You can block just about everything that is thrown down at you. It's an all-around team compositional pick instead of laning.
Yeah, I absolutely love it because you're right. It's not picked for the lane necessarily. It's just to deny the Ornn Horn.
my
And
God.
I was thinking, what support do you pair into this here? You don't need the engage anymore. This We've had 3 games of Akali now, Orbital. I have not been a fan of Akali in any of those games. Granted, the Akali was
What?
running to counterpick
Yeah.
twice. But, okay, you pick Akali again right now. You're running it into the Yone. That's not the worst matchup. Sure, I'll give you that. But Yone doesn't need to see you to attack you a lot of times. And on top of that, Lee Sin has always been a counter to Akali. Using that Crippling Tempest will reveal Akali in her Shroud. Riven doesn't need to see you. Riven just needs to spam Q and eventually she'll hit you. So it's like this Akali, I really don't think ISO that it's the right call for him to try and carry the match here. That's it. If ISO can get a hit, the Akali will run through the entirety of Team Ambition. The only true tank they have is this Braum here for Turk, and Turk doesn't have a good way to stop the Akali. Unbreakable won't stop you. Glacial Fissure, it's kind of hard to hit that mobile target, especially through that Shroud here. So for Purdue, I think the win con right now, you leave your bot lane alone. The opponent, Udon Bidon, let them skill up, let them handle things. Cap the ever-living bejesus out of that mid lane here. Get ISO ahead, because ISO can and must be one of the big carry conditions this game for Purdue.
Well, let's even talk about that as well, because Rascal in game 2 had some phenomenal escapes, right?
True.
This is a player that Yone is supposed to be aggressive. Yone is supposed to be that champion that takes over the lane. The amount of times we saw this Yone get away from death, he was 0-0-3 after, I want to say, 4 or 5 ganks in that mid lane, 1 or 2, single fights, the 1v1s. He is so dang difficult to kill on a champion that feels like he should be able to kill him. It should feel easy once he uses like his dash in and his clone, or the untethered, the soul coming out here.
Kind of. I mean, I feel like, yes, it is true that Rascal, was a great escape artist and it feels defensive. But if you recall back to why he got ganked, it's also because Rascal refused to play defensively in the face of Rise. He was low on health and still going in to trade with ISO. And I was honestly expecting more ganks this way because of how overextended he was a lot of time. And that's what you want to do as Yone. Aggression is your best defense, because when you go in like that, when you're that far away from where you're going to snap back to, you force the jungler to make the decision, hey, do I chase after the actual you to force that 2v1 where we've got the advantage and watch you escape? Or do I go and sit at where I expect you to go and watch you 1v1 my mid laner to death, right? It's that sort of rough call that you've got to make there. And I think Rascal really knows this champion. It's why we see Yone as one of the most banned champions against Team Ambition Black. And hopefully ISO can actually handle it with this Akali pick.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a potential last game here. Purdue Northwest are going to give it their all here in Game 3. It is do or die, whereas Team Ambition Black are playing with plenty of open space. They have 2 games under the belt. They have plenty of options to make mistakes, really test the waters, go for those risky gamble plays to see if they can get the win. My eyes, though, are drawn to that top side. 2 out of 2 games, Demon King Sam has won that top lane once with the help of his jungler. The second game, without really any help, taking over on his own. Maybe he can do it a 3rd time on a brand new champion. This will be his 3rd unique champion here in this series.
Oh, bro, your eyes are drawn top. My eyes are drawn into the jungle for Castle here because of that Lee Sin pickup. That is his signature champion. He's been utterly dominant on it, and I want to see more of it. Oh, I love this! They got in there!
The pinch, and they get the ghost out as well. So NYS throws up a little bit of a rude... yeah, that's the one that you wanted. The sad kitty, as NYS kind of scared himself with that summoner spell.
I mean, at least it's just Ghost, right? Ghost is a shorter cooldown than Flash, so NYS will have it up, not maybe for that first gank, but at least the second gank timing, it will be up and available. But you can already tell, this is Team Ambition's comfort champs with the Riven, with the Lee Sin, and this top side is going to be hell in a handbasket for Purdue right now. I don't know how they're going to play to it, and you know what? I've revised my choice here. I am still watching Castle, but I'm also going to be watching top like you, Orbital, because 12 years of jungle is going to be in for a super rough time, and I wouldn't be surprised to see, cheese ganks thrown that way, maybe even Rascal roaming up for some early dives.
There's so much that can be done, right? There's so many options for both these teams, and our eyes are kind of drawn everywhere. I think that's what's going to happen, so we'll just have to kind of watch and see how this game plays out. We know, as the casters and as the audience, kind of where we should see a lot of this aggression go down, but it's up to the teams to decide, hey, what lane seems viable, what lane seems to be proper, as already the aggression from both of these solo laners from TAB net themselves some, I want to say, decent trade advantages, as Turk, the wall went a little bit awry.
And it doesn't even matter, though. They're still so healthy, right? Interestingly enough, NYS starting bot side makes sense because you're trying to cover your top side of the map, and you don't think you necessarily have that kill potential this early on bot. But Castle actually started top side, and I don't feel like ganking a bot lane's the best call here. The Aphelios, the Karma is going to be fairly safe. So I kind of want to see Castle instead just kind of wrap around, go for that mid lane instead, reveal ISO, and look for the kill there. Rascal is running Ignite, not teleports. He wants to get some early lane kills.
Yeah, and so far he's pressuring in for it, right? Already burning those potions in the mid lane is going to give him a little bit of a healthy lead. Did go for the Conqueror. I know that's standard in these 1v1 trades, but that doesn't mean the fleet footwork that we sometimes see played is not going to be available. Scout of the Week is going to test a few limits of the opponent Udon Beaton. But so far, fairly quiet. Rascal, though, needs to get over the wall, is going to punch out, is ignited down. ISO is going to be locked down, but again, that's a fight. Last tick of the Ignite is going to win it. And just like that, Rascal picks up one.
And
remember, No Escape has nothing as Demon King Sam comes in for the cleanup. And just like that, the 2 lanes that PNW did not want to get ahead have picked up a kill apiece.
Overall, I was just watching the Poner and Udon Beaton sit in that bush down there. I was just imagining them eating popcorn, because what are you there doing besides just watching the kills? You're too late, and that's actually worried for them, because Castle and Rascal might look low, but Turk roamed up as well, and that would have been a 3v2, potentially 4v2, if Demon King Sam was moving quick enough to rejoin there. And already we're starting to see the dominance come through for Team Ambition exactly where they want it, mid and top.
Not just that, we saw the bot lane as well, a little bit of aggression from All For One and Turk, but with the Graviton, they are going to get a couple roots down. A possible second rotation, but a flash in early is going to set All For One for potential death. An auto attack can't be blocked if you are Turk, so that will be a kill return over to No You Stink, who is starting to look for a couple of those lane fights like you were calling.
Really solid gank coming through from NYS, and you started bot side, which meant that you're kind of looking top, but I like the fact that you're going bot. 12 years of jungle.
Oh, actually the Sonic Wave does miss, and that means a flash over the wall, but you know what? Demon King Sam didn't burn flash in mid, so that will be the second kill for an already fed Riven.
Yeah, 12 years of jungle shouldn't ever step out past the river at this point. Unfortunately, as the Ornn, you're already going to struggle in lane a little bit. And not to mention, like I said, I don't want to see NYS top. And you knew NYS was bot side. You just got to play passive. And for Purdue here, repeat those ganks to bot lane. Just power farm till 6. Ghost is back up. And with Ragnarok right now, you can largely ignore the Braum and go for the kill on all for one. Yes, Unleash Power is going to hurt. But because Syndra is in the bot lane, she gets less experience here, and most mages benefit more from levels than they do items, at least in the early game.
I think that's already been seen as you are going for that stacking as well, right? You are going for that tier build first, which means your early game is very much neutered. You are seeing a little bit of a dance in. This is going to be round number 2 for these mid and junglers. Udon beat on this time, though, rotating a little bit early along with Turk. So, anything chance happens as Udon Beat says, nope, 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 nope. I'm done, I'm out.
Fancy feed there from Udon Beat. I love the way they waited in the bush, too, till the moment Turk walked in and quickly ran out with the shield, the speed boost there. Well played from them. But yeah, Team Ambition, it just feels like their sixth sense is tingling. Every time NYS is looking in the mid lane, Castle's waiting in the wings. ISO can't comfortably go in. And even if ISO goes in, they have to be careful. They don't have the Ignite. Rascal still has the slight edge with that combat summoner.
Ooh, Rascal actually threw quite a bit to the wind here, and I'm surprised that ISO didn't try and chance it. Right, I do feel like that could have been a pretty decent fight for the Akali, but didn't want to take the risk, so I can respect that. Instead, Rascal will go ahead and recall. That's going to be a nice scout of the week straight into a Sonic Wave. Udon Beaton is going to sacrifice. Clean. That should be the death, but ISO is going to try and jump in, but can't get the second charge of the perfect execution off, so Rascal wins that 1v1 under the tower.
What? There wasn't a need to go in there. ISO hit R.
Oh, well, now we're going to see the top side as you were calling, right? This is going to be just a solo kill. Demon King Sam running the top lane right now. And honestly, just waiting for a rotation of spells. I think it should be coming up here shortly. Gets the shield up, and that's plenty. Team Ambition Black winning on all fronts. That's going to be a jump in. A little bit of help helps out. The opponent is kicked backwards because they just want to fight Udon Beaton, but now they're caught out. Castle, you went a little bit too deep. And giving a kill over to the Poner. It's just a consolation prize. TAB getting a healthy lead here in the early game.
For inside Purdue, that's the best person to pick up the kill at this point is Aphelios. And just a series of questionable plays coming through for Purdue there. ISO going for that mid lane kill. I just don't understand why. We touched on the fact that Rascal has Ignite and you were under turret. You already took the turret shot. Even if you get the kill, you don't get back out. And topside as well. This was why I didn't want to see ganks up there. It's not efficient. It's not effective. And the Riven is too strong right now. Whereas botside, you're seeing the Poner and Udon Beaton. They're doing well in the 2v2. So play to your winning lanes. ISO doesn't really have anything in the pocket, and this is going to allow Rascal to take an elongated fight. That's a jump in. Castle should be able to finish off. Dodges on that Sonic Wave. So ISO is going to be able to get a collapse. This should be able to help out. Castle is going to dodge out to the ward, but can't get over the wall, and No Stink can't really follow through. An axe to the back of the head of Castle does mean PNW are going to have a bit of advantage here in the mid lane. However, Turk, only level 4, doesn't have the Glacial Fissure. As Rascal goes in, is able to chunk down once again. So the tag has been made, and the damage check has been made as well. TAB and PNW go ahead and relinquish control of mid. Yeah, Castle playing a bit too dangerously with fire here, flirting with danger. He's putting himself in really awkward positions, and while yes, he's drawing Udon Beaton up, he's drawing NYS into the mid lane, Turk is having to match, and so is All For Once. They're not actually getting an advantage.
Oh, they're diving. This is Demon King Sam. Game 2 was his. Game 3 will be as well. And honestly, you can find it because he still had the ultimate charge. A dash over the knockup means Demon King Sam is going to turn around. Triple kill is going to get the shield up once again. Is this going to be a quadra? Is this going to be a Pensa? The Poner is going to go down to Rascal, though. And this is a very early game ace. It was a fight that was a 4v5, and it was so early on that both jungle and mid had time to respond. TAB net 5 for nothing. PNW on the rocks.
5 for nothing in a turret dive for V5, and the collapse into ISO. I was watching it in semi-mute horror there because ISO wasn't going to be able to get out. And ISO almost played really well with it. But what do you do when the mid lane, the top lane is fed? And now Demon King Sam is 6-0-1. The 2v1 didn't work out the last time, and they ended up losing one member. This time, if NYS ganks at top lane, it's an easy double kill. Even if ISO goes up, it could still be a triple here. They got to back
Very
up.
well could be. The TAB at this point, they know that the Riven's strong, but they don't want to take 4 in a 2v4, which is very, very surprising. That will be Herald going down to no
Castle got it.
stink. Wait, Castle got it, so he's gonna go in. There's no way they don't go in on this. This
He's trying.
is a 1 minute timer, and they easily pick it up, right?
Oh
that
my
is
goodness.
second time NYS has had to stick with that poor sad kitty emote. You know he is extremely sad at the current circumstances.
If I were NYS, I'd be so tilted right now.
Yeah.
I mean, level 1, you got kind of pushed out of your own jungle a little bit. You go up for your gank, you get killed there. Now you get Herald sniped away. Salt into the wound, insult to injury. They drop it mid right away, and they're looking for the push here. It's not safe for them. It's a 3v4, but they're so far ahead.
Rascal just goes, now it's a 3v3. Good luck. Rascal's going to get killed on the back end, but Castle is going to turn it around in a 3v4. Castle is going to find one. Turk is able to stay alive as well. And for all that they fought, that was a 2-4-1. I stated it multiple times because that's all I can say. PNW, every fight that they take, they are on the losing ends of it.
Yeah, and they didn't defend their turret either, unfortunately. The chase down meant that Shelly did get that last blow. First brick to Team Ambition and bot side. All for One right now is just playing PvE and farming simulator, just getting free plates, and they are literally free because no one on Purdue can answer, wants to answer. Yes, may just take a long time. They don't do a lot of damage to the plates, but it's still coming down bit by bit, and soon All for One, getting all this solo XP, is going to be able to start coming online as a mage as well. And you know, once the damage starts to come through the Poner, this lane is not going to feel as comfortable anymore. The kill threat with the Unleashed power will be there.
Trying to take a look and see what All for One actually picks up. Yeah, is able to pick up the Loon. And so yeah, the opponent's going to come back to lane, or potentially come back to this bot lane and go, oh, that hurts. That's, I think, the only answer that you're going to get. But NYS is going to be found out. A quick dance out means that a majority of PNW is going to group up together for this Dragon. It is just a Cloud Drake. So I don't know if they want to fully commit to this, as the Riven is a little bit slower. So this is only going to be a steal attempt. The rest of the squad is coming in. That's going to be a Q and a steal. Are you kidding me? Castle is just dancing on them. This is the most BM I've seen Castle be on his signature, right? On his signature. The opponent has to watch out. Over the wall you go. Maybe one more tag. That's going to be the knockup and the kill. Rascal just running down that fight. This game is bonkers as TAB have controlled the entire series, and it feels that this game 3 is just the icing on the cake. Now we're going to see a collapse. ISO is going to get a little bit of a tag, is going to be able to take down Turk, but I mean, that's not one of the big carries. Castle is still very, very strong. Look at him in the middle of 4, is still going to get the kick off. Is he going to get 12 years of jump? No, one more auto attack. Yes, that's the burn. And the kick! The cut mechanics! The Lee Syndrome is going to net 2. Rascal's going to fall through in the backline. Uda Beanon is going to try and dodge left, right, and center. That is going to be their life secured. Castle, no, Castle, you can't do that. That's going to be one more tower. That's going to be the Moonlight Vigil taking his life. But I mean, at what cost? That is a single kill due to the 3 or 4 that were found around the Dragon. And TAB, they are running this stage show like a pro. It's not over. That is Rascal taking a 7th. It is his turn to be the star of the show.
Under a turret, the Poner is no longer safe. Even if Udon Bidon was there, I'm not sure it would have made enough of a difference. Now Turk coming topside, looking for the dive with Demon King, but he can't get there in time.
All right, Demon King Sam, like, listen, Rascal, I can't let you out KS me or anything like that. Matching 7 kills for the solo laners, and I mean, this is a phenomenal display of skill here for Team Ambition Black.
It feels like anywhere Rascal or Demon King Sam is right now is a kill lane. And I don't care if you're a tank, if you're a carry, if you're a support. It doesn't matter. They will kill you. 12 years of jungle is not safe here. And the moment Castle arrives, I think they look for a dive.
Yeah. I also just want to point out, Demon King Sam has been sitting on this coal since like minute 2 of the game, minute 2 at 3. So that is hilarious that it still has 11 CS to take because he's just been farming kills, right? Not so worried about the CS when you can get kills all the way across the board. Bot lane, of course, though, they are a little bit behind tower. Looks like they're going to try and take it. Castle, though, getting spotted out. Does have a ward over the wall, is going to drop the pink, and is going to get out to safety. So that is all outer towers down as TAB open the map up for themselves just a bit more.
Castle stole Herald. He stole Dragon, and he stole the lives of Purdue on that fight. And now he's stealing their time. Just Castle and Roscoe alone forced Purdue to send everybody to that bot lane. They all had to rotate. And Team Ambition Black, I think they didn't quite take full advantage of that. They did back off and try and reinforce Rascal and Castle. But I think now that they know that's the response, the next time, they just keep pushing in the mid lane. They get the inside track instead, and Castle will be able to get out. So use him for that pressure.
Castle still chasing, but All For One is going to get the scout of the week into the Unleashed Tower.
Castle stole it.
ISO did not enjoy that rude welcome into his own jungle. Demon King Sam is running out the Ornn on the top side, and this is just 4 members barreling down, but they're going to give it a shot.
Can
Demon
he find
King,
him?
this is the true challenge. A nice dodge on the Ornn Horn is going to dance right back in. He is going to get a decent chunk of damage down, but the Olaf is probably going to get the shutdown. That is the raw damage coming through. So, the unkillable Demon King in the top side by Sam is going to fall 7-1-1, but he got enough. Right, taking a look at his items, 2 items, completed coal, and plenty of gold under his belt means that his team is going to buff him up as well. That is 4 towers to 0. Team Ambition Black getting everything that they want, even at the expense of their top laner. Oh.
Okay, we didn't see that. Orbital, you call him the unkillable Demon King, but this is Demon King Sam, not Demon King Faker here. So dying once or twice is acceptable. I'm actually a little bit puzzled by this Serpent Span coming out. Lethality is good, great and all that, but no one on the top side of the map right now has any shields. The shields are going to be the Poner and Udon Beaton, and so far, Sam hasn't been fighting the Poner and Udon Beaton. He's been fighting Ornn and the Olaf instead. I would have liked to see, maybe an Executioner's Calling, a Thornbill, something to cut healing instead.
Might be third item. Considering the Ornn literally still doesn't have Mythic, this is Demon King Sam allowed to build whatever he wants. He is allowed to play his own game here. And I can't wait to see what else he gets. A huge scout of the week, though. Udon Beaton has been on the receiving end of this damage time and time again. 12 years of jungle. He is going to take a pinch as his mid lane should be knocked down fairly quickly. This is going to be 4. That's going to be 5 joining in. And Demon King Sam is going to watch as his APC falls. But Castle in the backline was able to delete the ADC. So that is now a 4-on-4 here in the mid lane, which honestly PNW do not win.
Okay, I was wondering where Castle was going. They're diving inside the base here.
They don't care. It's not It's not the enemy's base, it's their base. They have 2 bases at this point. TAB are allowed to have 2 bases. That's a kick. That's the style. Castle goes, you shouldn't have given me the champion. A stylish 7th kill, as that is going to be all solo players of TAB netting 7 kills or more.
Yep. You know what? The only thing I can say right now is that Team Ambition didn't get the perfect game, though. They did lose Herald, second Herald to the side of Purdue. So, yeah, Team Ambition. Jeez, what is this non-perfect game? Terrible, terrible.
Oh man, they're terrible, right? Like they're just horrible. This is. I mean,
yeah.
TAB,
What?
you
16
be
kills
better.
up. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, why didn't you end it at 15? Man, come on. That's a horrible play on your end. I mean, Rascal, what are you doing here? This is a terrible execution of the play. Horrible mechanics right there. You know, that was you
only
gotten
killed
2
one.
there at least.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the double kill?
All right, please don't blame us. Please don't blame us later on. We beg of you. We beg of you.
Yeah, but it is kind of their show right now. And Purdue, I just don't see how they're going to come back into this. Dragon is up right now. Team Ambition should just be doing it, because once you pick up that Mountain Soul as well for Team Ambition when you're this far ahead, you can't even kill them anymore. ISO no longer even has a real target. All For One just needs to pick up at this point as Zonia's, because All For One is largely bait. You're there to press R, and once you press R, your job's done. You're not good at taking turrets either. The pick ability with Scatter of the Week is good, but that's not what has been happening. Castle's just been diving in there, kicking people out, or Demon King's just been, looking for the back line, all winning the back there. Q lands, Castle's in.
Yeah, and ISO actually flashed right back out, or not flashed back out, but decided to dash out, and Castle actually getting pinched. No one else wanted to fight that, and that's going to be a
down.
knock-up. Unleashed Power is going to land, but again, it's on a very, very tanky player. Glacial Fissure is going to be used. Everyone is already out, but that's going to be Demon King Sam going ahead, slicing through that front line. 12 years of jungle is going to live on a sliver, but again, the knock-up from Rascal is good, and that will take 2. Castle is going to watch this team go ahead and clean up this fight. That is a good graviton to keep Demon King Sam out. And now that's going to be the root. Udon Beaton going to try his best, but a nice stun means ISO is not allowed to protect his support. And this is just TAB playing with their food. I mean, good lord, we even see a Spelthy's Edge in All For One's pocket. They know they are not the star of the show. They know that they are not going to get any kills. 0, 2, and 7, as a true support should be. TAB take multiple kills, an inhibitor tower, and an inhibitor at 20.5 minutes.
Dragon's still up. Team Ambition's going for that now. And I want to see them just go and take Baron instead. Because at this point here, if Purdue try and contest you at Baron, even if they sneak away the steal, and NYS doesn't have flash, he has to run around manually with Ghost there. But even if they steal it, if you kill NYS, if you kill anybody else, even if they're Baron buff, you just walk in and take their base. Like, you're strong enough to do it. They frankly could have just stuck around and looked for more here. 12 years of jungle. You can't step up.
No, you can't. The poor Ornn is like an item and a half deep and trying his best. And to be fair, right, Purdue Northwest have tried their best. They've definitely given as much as they could. And it's just the problem with that. That's 3 auto attacks in a queue, I think, that deleted the Poner's life. Rascal has a yeah, that is going to be the tower going down, and I think Retribution is coming. No You Stink is going to try his best to fight this out, but against 3, there's not much he can do. Again, Concussive Blows is there just to whittle away at the HP bars. 13, 1, and 6, though. I want to point it out. Rascal has immediately shown that he is also a star, eclipsing the amount of kills Demon King Sam and Castle have gotten.
Yeah, he's just 1v2, 1v3 at this point here. He is killable, though. He just needs CC.
Yeah, and that's pretty good right there, right? But that's going to be a little bit of cat. Oh my gosh. All right. Why is Rascal? Why does his damage seem like he's a burst mage as a bruiser in the mid lane? This is not cool.
No, man. Orbital, it's not. Why is this burst? No. The question is just, why is Rascal? 14, 2, and 6. The fact that he gets out, I had said that the answer to Rascal was CC. They have the CC. Literally, he just landed 1 out, and that was enough to burst down Udon Beaton. They're struggling to take Baron, by the way, because Demon King isn't there and Rascal isn't helping. All For One might die.
No. They got the shields. They got the shields. The smite's going to come down. It's taken. It's fine. Castle was full health, so even if you lose, it's an 0, 2, and 7 Syndra. You don't care about the Syndra that much, right? It's just like, hey, you're here to help. But this is going to be Castle going ahead, diving in. Demon King Sam says, can we challenge? No, we can't. That's going to be a teleport being called in, and All For One, I think, is the one that's coming in. So this could be a 3v4 fight. All For One, though, is going to get the Scout of the Week huge grab, and that's going to be the kill. I mean, it should be. If you do want to expend that Dragon's Kick, Castle is going to allow them to live, and that's going to be a weird flash out as Castle was not able to follow through. That is the Poner and NYS allowed to stay alive, and I say allowed with all respect in the world.
Respect to which team, Orbital? We're going to keep on pushing with Baron for Team Ambition here. Mid lane, Rascal once again walking up with minions, and ISO 1v1 against Turk. Who wins this?
I think ISO at least there. 3-7-2 should be okay. Yeah, at least you can take out the Braum and not get concussive blowed up. But that's going to be a dive into the tower. Top lane is going to be the fight to have. And that's a 1 kill so far. 12 users jungle is now going to get shredded. That's going to be a dash forward as the Flash Rascal picks up a 16th. That is a double kill for Rascal in that top lane. They are going to go ahead and follow through as TAB are going to get the stun onto ISO. Unleashed Power can't do too much as the blades fly. Demon King Sam is going to continue to play with his food as the rest of the squad backs him up. Team Ambition Black, 1 step away. They just need to hit the Nexus, and their 3-0 will be complete. Castle completing the 2-peat on 2 different organizations in perfect fashion as well. This is going to be All For One falling as the game is complete. Team Ambition Black are your unified Advanced League champions.
Orbital, Team Ambition, first season, by the way, in the UAL, has done just that and completed their ambitions. Like you said, Castle back-to-back champions here. And I had a chance to talk to Castle a little bit last week, and he was saying that this might be his last split in Unified. So what a way to end it with back-to-back wins, a 10-game win streak through the playoffs, 1 game lost, their very first one, and they did not drop a single game after. Team Ambition Black here, they're not quite a dynasty, but they're the next best thing right now.
Yeah, it was phenomenal to watch, right? And we always want to see close games. Close games are enjoyable, they're fun, and there's always an enjoyable outcome because it's so flashy. You don't sometimes know who's going to win. Best of 5 series, you know, you want all 5 games. But there is something to be said about a powerful team coming in, taking a sweeping victory, and showing us just how well teams can play League of Legends. Yes, they stumbled every so often. Yes, Rascal may have stepped a little bit too close to the sun in some of those fights, but that last game made up for it, and it was so much fun to watch. Purdue Northwest, of course, they do fall here in the finals, but their run was anything but that. They had a phenomenal time pushing in here. Again, 3-0 in their semifinals matchup as well, so there were no pushovers. Team Ambition Black just had that much of a better time. So before we close these things out, I want to ask you, I feel like I know who it's going to be, but I do want to ask throughout this series, who was your MVP for Team Ambition Black and why?
This series is a hard one because everybody stepped up, right? Like both the solo laners, Rascal and Demon King Sam, were absolutely nutty. And I can't call it from the series, but overall, I think for split wide, I'm gonna give it to Castle here. I mean, team captain, back-to-back winner, the Lee Sin, perfect way to cap it all off. Kudos to Purdue for giving that over. I know you could have banned it, and you gave it to Castle. I'm sure he appreciates it. Yeah, I'm going to give it to Castle, man, especially if it's his last split. It's just too nutty here, and yeah, huge props to them. And I know you already gave a shout-out to Purdue, but overall, I do want to highlight once again, Purdue, they were a very, very strong team as well. And this, I think, was also partially compositional or team style mismatch. Purdue is a slow early game team. It showed in their games a little bit. If it was any other team but Team Ambition Black, one who couldn't punish quite as hard in the early game, Purdue would have a much, much better showing. So this 0-3 is not at all representative of how they play it. I want to see Purdue back. I want to see them in other leagues as well, and I think they'll have a really, really good time of it.
Yeah, and I think that also highlights League of Legends in general. Sometimes it is that mismatch of how you play the game that can get you caught up, and that is the fun of the entire time here. So again, that will be it for us here at the Unified Advanced League. That is the end of the fall split, and we had a blast. Congratulations once again to Team Ambition Black for first season run to first place. And I can't wait to see them next time as well. But that'll be it for us here at the desk. But there will be more Unified action, as tomorrow is the Valorant Finals as well for the Unified Premier League, so make sure to tune into that one as well. But that will be it. So my name is Orbital. With me was Random Minion Caster. On the production was Hypertension. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a fantastic evening.